welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland Transfer Deadline Day Special Part 1. I'm Gimli, and tonight, or today, I'll be joined by, first up, is Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
I'm not happy. Move on.
Okay. Next up, ex-Arsenal midfielder, David Hillier. Hello, Dave.
I'm not happy. Move on.
Next up, the Tinties in City Boy, back again, Andrew.
Well, I'm not happy, so you can move on.
Okay. And finally, the man that seems to be the only... Well, not finally, but nearly finally. The man that is... Well, I can describe him as happy, but he's got his bulletproof vest on. It's Geoff Arsenal. Hello, Geoff.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Boo.
Oh, I'm ready to take shots at you, mate.
Fire away, sir. I've got.
Okay.
I'm armed to the teeth here, mate. You fire away.
But there's probably one man that's ahead of me in the queue, and I'll welcome him now. It's Pedro. Hello. Pedro. And how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, really good.
Are you a little bit worried about how we've come so far today, and there's apparently nothing?
I think it's alarming. I think it's expected though. I think I've been preparing myself for this for the last couple of weeks. I don't even have words to describe how disappointed I am with the way the transfer window's played out again. But this is a manager who doesn't have a plan. And we sadly found out that we're going to struggle without a striker this year. We don't have an experienced centre back to take the burden of Mertesacker and Koscielny. But the striker is the real concern. The idea of going into a season with somebody as average as Yaya Sonogo is just beyond comprehension. That a manager that gets paid £8 million a year can't see these glaring deficiencies in his squad and can't address them at the start of the window instead of trying to go by the skin of his teeth at the end.
I mean, we all saw the 1-1 draw with Leicester yesterday. I'm sure we all stuck around to watch the post-match comments from Arsene Wenger, where he said that they would be active in the last day. Andrew, David Ornstein's just come out with a tweet. What did it say?
Basically, Ornstein is saying that there's going to be no business. He's not expecting any business now from the rest of the day from Arsenal, apart from maybe something last minute and squad exit. So for Payton, Arsenal very unlikely to sign anyone before deadline, barring late surprise and a couple of squad exits. Hashtag AFC business is done. Hashtag BBC deadline day. Hashtag fuck off.
Oh, that's a little bit of a kick in the nuts. Dave, where do you see our season going if we are inactive today?
Well, I've got to agree with Pedro to a certain extent that you do get paid a lot of money. You should foresee these eventualities. If you're going to lose your number one striker and you've not got someone of high enough quality to replace him with, that should have been addressed. I'm interested in that comment there, though, on what Andrew said about barring a late surprise. I mean, are they just trying to keep everybody hanging on till the end of the day? Maybe they have got something in the bag, and I just hope it's as late a surprise as Ozil was, and it's as of that level of quality. Because if it's not, we are going to struggle. We've not really found Alexis's best position. Is he going to play up front or is he going to play on the right? With Walcott not playing, we're going to be lightweight. We're going to be battling it out for a point against sides like Leicester all season otherwise, and missing all those chances we missed at the weekend. It's a bit of pill to swallow, especially after last year. It gave everyone so much hope. We thought, we finally got it, and we're going to invest in a few players, and then all that early activity in the transfer window, and then it just goes dead for a month. But I'm sure there's people working behind the scenes trying to sign people. I just don't know why they're not coming there.
And Danny, you're a man that does this with me every year. And when I say this, I mean the transfer deadline day special. I do recall in January we packed up our shit and moved out from about 8 o'clock in the evening. What are your hopes for this window exactly? And do you think we'll be doing the same today?
Well, I'll tell you what, my hope isn't that the Mirror are right, that we're linking us with Jermaine Defoe yet again. That's been on and off for the last couple of days.
We don't want him!
We don't want him at all. Although he's an Arsenal fan, he's been tainted by that lot up at M17. My three signings that I'd want would be Von Vlaar. I think that's completely doable. I think Morgan Schneiderlin, that's another one that's completely doable, although Southampton have said no more leaving, but if they get a couple in, You never know, he might be on his. He could leave, and then a bit of a silly one. I'd like to see Ibrahimovic there because that's who we need. Someone who's going to come in straight away, score loads of goals. He scored a hat-trick last night on his comeback game for PSG. He's probably even getting bored playing in France because there's nothing happening in France. Everyone wants to leave. It's just such a boring league. I mean, and that's been as a Khan fan. So I just want. He cannot be in Rome at some kind of friendly football tournament on transfer deadline day, which is what Talksport was saying. That's where Wenger is today. You can't do that. You need to be at least at the stadium and doing interviews and giving the illusion that we're going to be buying people.
Well, I hate to be overly negative. I saw a press conference with the Twitchy one. For those of you that don't know who that is, that was Harry Redknapp when he was talking that he had a charity golf day lined up. But, however, because transfer deadline day was such a busy day, that he had to come into the club and he had to swerve it. So, Geoff, the question for you is, what the hell is Arsene Wenger doing in Rome?
What? Yeah, the Vatican. I don't know. Charity match, isn't it? Seems a little bit bizarre on transfer deadline day. Having said that, he's maybe only a phone call away. Anybody that would have to do the deal, they can still do any deals if they've got to be done late. I don't think Arsene Wenger needs to be there in person, but it is really, really strange. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, I share the sentiment of all the lads.
I think the strange thing is that it's
Well, we'll never know what that was.
Yeah, I share the sentiment of all the lads. Really, I mean, it is. Listen, honestly, up until even 2 days ago, I was given positive stuff that I thought that we was going to bring a two in, and that would be a cover for a centre back and a central midfield player. Now, a forward wasn't mentioned, but then after Giroud got injured, you would imagine that they've surely got to replace Giroud because he's out until Christmas. Any team that has any aspirations of winning the Premier League or challenging in the Champions League, you've got to have a decent strike force because especially when we play one up top, he's got to be a top player. For everything to work, and without Giroud, who isn't a top centre forward. Don't get me wrong, he's still in the learning process, really. We haven't got that, and you can't. As much as I admire Sanogo's, his work rate and everything else, I'm not sure that he's really got that quality at the moment to fire us into that top spot. So it's a shame if we don't sign a striker. But you've got to remember we made 3 good signings already. Thank God we did. We did it early. Chambers, Sanchez, and Debuchy. I think they're 3 really good signings. I think they've shown that already. I'm a little bit disappointed in Sanchez at the moment. I think he could do a little bit more. A great work rate, but I think that will come. But I don't think it's over yet. I'm still quietly confident that we're going to conclude the business that we're doing something, strengthening something along the way.
So, I mean, a lot of people have said that everything that has happened up to now in the transfer window, although it may have been good at the start of the window, we all thought it was possibly a sign of things to come. Would you say it was all in vain, Pedro, if he doesn't bring anyone in on this last day and strengthen the positions that really matter?
Right, he's kind of replaced like for like. I don't think our squad hasn't really moved on. I think we've actually spent less than we did last summer. But it's going into the season with glaring deficiencies that a highly paid manager should be covering off. I mean, it says a lot about our scouting department if they can't find a holding midfielder in the time that Alex Song has been gone, and it also says a lot about them if they can't find a suitable striker. But ultimately, like Falcao should have been at Arsenal today. £16 million his loans cost. We've got Champions League. Manchester United don't have Champions League. Mario Balotelli's moved to Liverpool. Lukaku to Everton. Mandzukic to Atletico Madrid. There's fantastic strikers have been moving all around Europe and even in the last few weeks. So there's absolutely no excuse for the inaction. And if the reason for the inaction is that he's going to punt on Sanogo, I mean, I for the boy. I mean, it's not his fault that he's not to the standard to be at the moment. But even more bizarrely from Arsene Wenger is that Joel Campbell's been playing around Europe, caused problems in the Champions League, led a team to top of the group in the World Cup. Looks a real talent, really hungry to play, and he's not getting a game. So it's just like can't really understand what Arsene Wenger's thinking. It's it's nice to bring in Sanchez, but ultimately if they're not going to support Sanchez with a decent squad, we're going to be in the same position that we were last year, and maybe even worse because teams around us have improved. Like Chelsea have moved to the next level. Manchester City have done the same. Liverpool trying to. It's just really worrying, and it's just really flatlining the same old problems, same old Arsenal.
And I think we should go to Andrew now, who's done a blog for us on Falcao. Andrew, this is a player that I will pull you up, Peter. He didn't play any part in the World Cup through injury, so we can't really rule that. However...
No, Joel Campbell I was talking about.
Oh, Joel Campbell, sorry. But we did see Falcao at the Emirates, and I mean, most people that saw him that day said that he was arguably the best player on that field. Now, Andrew, to go back, you did a blog for us. What did that blog say exactly?
It just basically worked out the reasons why Monaco are so desperate to get him off their books effectively, given the FFP break-even legislation, and then kind of the costs it would incur for the team that take him up. So in this case, obviously, Man U. The original, obviously, deal which was offered was the 20 million euros for the season-long loan. So it looked at, what the cost implication would that be? Would that be for Arsenal? Given a lot of people obviously saying that's far too expensive. The club would be mad to spend that kind of money on a year-long loan for Falcao. Basically, if you look at the way in which FFP calculates the cost of players, it's not just the salary. You also have to amortise the cost of the player over the course of the year. So if you look at, Ozil, for example, he actually costs us roughly £300,000 a week, not £140,000 a week, because they have to take the 42.5 million and then divide that over the 5 years length of his contract. So when people were saying, it's a ridiculous amount of money which we'd be paying for Falcao, in that if we took him just for the one season loan, we wouldn't actually have to pay any of the depreciation on his value because that book value would still be held by Monaco. So in effect, he wouldn't be costing us that much more than Özil or Sanchez. And it's hard to fathom why we still haven't got a centre forward. I think obviously the Giroud injury highlighted especially that we need another centre forward, but we needed one anyway beforehand. We were in for one last year. We tried to get Demba Ba last minute because we knew we needed one. We wanted Higuain, we wanted Suarez. We're going into the season weaker up top. We're now with Giroud injured, and also what gets me, we got Nacho Monreal, who's now our fourth choice centre back. He's still mastering how to play left back a lot of the time in the league. Like how the fuck is that possible? And then our third choice centre back, he'd never even played there till this season, and he gets caught out every game. Not through his fault because he's young and he's learning, but that's simply not good enough at this level.
And we spoke, didn't we, Dave, before the podcast actually started about how maybe Giroud coming on yesterday would have maybe inspired us to win the game. I mean, just how important is it to replace him in the time that he's injured?
I think it's desperately important for us to do that because although we know, he's not going to be in probably not in the top 20 strikers in Europe or even top 30. What he has got, he's got experience and he comes hitting the ground running when he plays. He came on against Everton and he just showed, he showed the team what they needed, showed Sanogo what you needed to have, and Alexis what you need to have as a centre forward playing in the Premier League. I think I agree with Geoff. Alexis is still trying to find his feet. Really, he hasn't disappointed me. He's got great energy but I don't think he's been utilised properly yet. I think he's a bit all over the place. But we desperately need to replace Olivier Giroud. And going back to what Pedro said, I agree with all of that totally. There's just one thing that always hangs in my mind is I cannot believe Arsene Wenger, with all of his intelligence and all of his knowledge and the years he's spent in football, is not worried about not signing someone and is banking on Sanogo to do it. I think they must be. They must be. Maybe I'm just an optimist and I'm just trying to see his side of things, but they must be trying to buy someone to replace him. And Wenger's thinking, well, at the end, he's all I've got at the moment. I've got to play him. And for some reason, people just ain't deciding to come to Arsenal. I mean, the Falcao deal, you've got to be saying, surely you'd want to come to Arsenal. He's guaranteed at least 3 months of solid Premier League football if he comes to Arsenal's first team as number one striker, as long as he stays fit.
And
Like, why would you go to United and maybe sort of be in and out of the side in a team that ain't really firing at all? But Arsenal have got it all there apart from that one position. Is he not big enough to take it on, or does he just want to go and be a bit part player? I don't know.
Maybe the fitness issue with Falcao was the sticking point with Wenger. I don't know. Is he? He's just come back from a big injury. I don't know how old is he now. 27,
28.
28.
28. He's apparently lied about his age. They've got documents to say he might be 32.
Yeah, well, so I mean, it's 28. It's a good age. Don't get me wrong, but it's a bad injury to have at that stage of your career. You don't really know how it's going to go. You've only got maybe 4 top years left, and it's big money. Don't know. To me, I think for signing for United, I think that they're desperately trying to get their season back on track. They're dying to get into the top 4. But at the end of the day, you're right what you're saying. We definitely do need striking cover, unless he's just looking to put Sanchez up top, and when Theo comes back, we'll have attacking options that way,
But Theo's not back yet, is he? And you've only got to be out without a striker for 4 weeks, and it's over. You've only got to lose or not take 4 points from 3 games in the season, and then you've got to go out and beat everyone for the rest of it. Otherwise, your hopes of winning a title are over. And we can't just be setting our sights on just a European place again. We've got to be looking for those at least second in the league and push someone right to the limit. If not, be looking to win it. And you've got other players, even Remy. I mean, for me, he wouldn't have been first choice by any means. But as time's moving on, and a couple of weeks ago, he could have been thinking, well, I'm still not got anybody, and if Giroud did get injured, at least I'd have someone with a bit of pace, who's a bit lively, who's a bit hungry to stick up there, who's better than Sonogo. But no,
it's almost as if Wenger doesn't really want to go to a bidding war with these top 4 or 5 clubs, because as soon as they get interested in the player, we seem to drop out. I mean, all the players that have gone elsewhere we've been interested in, we know that for a fact. But then all of a sudden, Chelsea or City or United come into the fray, and Wenger seems to just, okay, you can have him.
But sorry, Dave, it does seem like, Geoff, I mean, all the pundits that you see on Match of the Day or on the football, like Sky Sports yesterday, all saying we need a striker. All the people you trawl through tweets on Twitter, everyone's crying out for a striker. How come the only man that matters is the only man that's not willing to buy one?
Well, I think it's who he brings in and how much it costs, and if they're available. There's no doubt. He said before, I mean, he's been in before for strikers. He tried to buy Suarez last year. He nearly bought Higuain last year. He knows that we need a striker, but there's something that's stopping him committing to purchasing a striker. Whether or not the one that he wants is not available, or whether he thinks he can nurture one to come through, I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But it's not all over yet, is it?
We keep saying him, though, Geoff, don't we? And we all know that there's many more people than just him involved in bringing someone to the club, and lots more factors. Because if that was the case, every manager would never leave a club because they'd have their own way all the time. You hear, all managers having disputes with the boards and this, that, and the other because they don't get who they want or get the finances they want. We don't ever hear that coming out of Arsenal because we think Arsene makes all the decisions, but he can't do. He's not in charge of the money. He might have a little bit of a say, but he still just puts a list forward, and things get ruled out by other people. And
I think that he's totally in charge of everything, and I think Arsene's in charge of too much. I think that he should just provide a list, a ballpark value, and say, go and get this player for me. But I think ultimately, what we ask him, I think Ivan Gazidis should be stronger. With the manager, but he's powerless because Stan Kroenke's a massive admirer of the manager. But I think there needs to be like a director of football or a head of performance or somebody who comes in and pushes the manager down a path that it needs to go, because it's simply inexcusable to go into the season as underprepared as we almost always are, especially with the money. But even if we did sign these players, I think there would still be a fall down during the season because saw against Leicester there's no plan there. So I think by Arsene Wenger not signing players, ultimately disguises the fact that even if he did have the right players in the squad, he'd still be found out.
No, I think you're being harsh there, mate.
Yeah, I think if you had the right players yesterday, we'd have been 3-0 up, and a plan wouldn't have been an issue because we can dictate the way we play all the time. But because of lack of players in certain positions, other teams can expose us, and then a secondary plan comes into force. If you're talking about Arsenal with a team of really high quality, let's talk about hypothetically, if we had one of the top two players in every position, then we would only have to have one plan, and that would be go out and play the way we want to play every week. But because we haven't got that, we get exposed. The game changes in a way that we can't adapt to, and that I agree totally. That's where he falls down, because he tries to play the same way against the team that are getting better results against you, because your team's not strong enough in certain areas.
Having said that, I mean, the team that we put out against Leicester yesterday should have turned them over. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Geoff. Like, I don't think that we shouldn't need to bring in 3 players to that squad. You've got some amazing talent in that side, and but there's no plan. And I think that's the problem with Wenger, is that there's no plan that runs through the whole club. You know, from preparation to the transfer fast that we have every year to what actually happens on the pitch. And I think he's getting more and more exposed every year it goes on, because now he can't hide behind the.
But I think we should break down our attacking options for a second. I mean, you've got Giroud, who obviously is going to be out until January. Next in line would be Sonogo, who arguably, same kind of injury record as Diaby. He's not you can't really rely on him in a situation and know that he's going to stick the ball in the back of the net. For me, he's not a first choice striker. You've got Joel Campbell, who seemingly he's talked up in a striking role, but seems to have no faith in whatsoever. And finally, you've got Podolski, who before the Giroud injury had one foot out the door going out on loan. None of those seem to be like the man that's going to fire us to glory or even going to get us close to a title, are they, Andrew?
No, I don't think we have the quality of centre forward which we require if we're going to win the league. I think obviously Giroud is probably the one who's most naturally suited to our team. I mentioned on the pod the last pod, it was similar to what Hillier was saying the week before. Obviously, if you have a holding midfielder, you can press a little bit higher up the field. We don't have a top quality holding midfielder, so we kind of rely on Giroud to take pressure off the midfield, because obviously teams play a high pressing game against us. We need people like Giroud to hold the ball up and take that pressure away from us. So he's probably the best we've got in that position, but I still don't think he's of the quality you need. He hasn't got the kind of the pedigree of Van Persie, of Rooney, Falcao, Costa. He's not going to score you the same number of goals. He doesn't win you big match. He'll rarely win you a big match. He doesn't produce something out of nothing. But at least in the system that we play, he adds a lot of value from that sense. And so that's not what I don't quite get yet why everyone's talking about putting Sanchez as a centre forward, because I don't think without a holding midfielder there to take pressure off the midfield, Sanchez isn't the centre forward that's going to help alleviate that pressure off the midfield the way Giroud does. And so I think that's just going to leave a huge, unless we buy a top quality holding midfielder this window. And where's that gone? Why we were linked to Lars Bender at the start of the window. We were linked. Obviously, Martinez got injured, but we were still talking to him. We've apparently been speaking to Schneiderlin. We've obviously been speaking to Bender. Kadira. Why
Carvalho as well?
Carvalho, yeah. I mean, at the start of the window, I think a lot of Arsenal fans said, if we're going to push on next season, obviously replace the players that are leaving. But if you sign no one out, sign a top quality centre forward and a top quality holding midfielder. And they're the two positions where we haven't, improved at all. And if not, we're looking to weaken now because Giroud's out. As you said, Podolski 1 foot out the door. He scored 47 goals for Germany and about 120 caps. And yet he's barely coming on off the bench these days. It's absurd.
And Danny, I understand you've got some odds for us on some of the players that might be coming in this window.
Yeah, just looking at the Sky Bet latest odds for players to sign for clubs not on loan by the 2nd of September, so by midnight tonight. We've got Danny Welbeck, who is 1-3 on to sign for Spurs, and then we're 7-1 second favourites of Everton to sign him. I don't want him. Just read that Man United want £5 million if they want him to loan. So I don't know what's going to happen with that one. Jermaine Defoe, QPR are 2-1 on. Arsenal are 5-2, Newcastle 9-1. Not sure if that would be a loan or a full-time deal. Ryan Shawcross, we are 33-1. Oh, please don't let that
Oh,
happen.
Jesus
I know.
Christ. Surely that's not even an option, is it?
Well, it looks like it. Wilfred Boney, we are 5-2. Spurs 5-1. Man United 14-1. And then there's loads of others. Arturo Vidal, we're 33-1. Favourites are Man United that are 1-1. Real Madrid 3-1. Then Lucas Podolski to leave. Juventus is 1-1. I don't know what that means. Wolfsburg 2-1. Galatasaray 6-1. Sami Khedira is favourites. Bayern Munich 3-1. Us 7-2. We're second favourites. Edson Cavani, we're favourites at 5-4. Scott Sinclair, no, we're not even mentioned in that one. Mattia Destro, we're 6-4. Do you want to say a little bit about him?
I'm just disappointed you haven't mentioned Solomon Kalou.
He went last night, didn't he? He's really gone. I know there was tears, no more linking to him. Who's the press's favourite player to link Arsenal to? Gim, you were talking about Mattia Destro earlier today, weren't you? What do you think about him?
He's gone. Gimli's gone. It's muting
What
or
about
something.
Cavani? Because obviously there was a lot of talk that we weren't going to get Ibrahimovic. We weren't going to get Cavani because they said that PSG lockdown won't sell because Ibra was supposed to be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. People were saying. Obviously, you said earlier, Danny, it was interesting that Ibra's back now.
Yeah.
So if Cavani
is,
if he is surplus, why wouldn't we go in? We got 60 to 70 million to spend. Clearly, we need a top centre forward. He's available supposedly. PSG are not adverse to selling for the right money. Obviously Wenger. He's got contacts at PSG. Is that not an option?
Well, you would hope so. It turns out Gimli was muted, weren't you, dear?
I'm sorry, I was. Yeah, Destro. From what I've read about him, it was his breakthrough season last season. I think he got between 10 and 15 goals in around 20 starts. Very highly rated in Italy. There was talk that Chelsea were going to come in and buy him on top of Remy. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. You've got to look at this late stage in the window that anyone that can come in and score 21 goals in a season or such like, don't crucify me on my Twitter if I've got that wrong.
He got 13 in 20 Serie A, and the season before that he got 6 in 21. And then he got 5 in 5 in the Champions League. So he has got 24 in 49. You're only 3 out.
But it's still surely an improvement on Sonogo, who hasn't scored in 17 Premier League games, has he? Something like that?
You look at him at under 19 for Italy, 15 goals in 13 games. Under 21's 5 in 15. The Italian national team, 1 in 5.
See, I slagged Sonogo off his first touch, right? His first touch was poor. And I said, here we go, this is the start of things to come. Someone said, oh, get off the boy's back, he's wearing an Arsenal shirt. Are you going to continue to moan all game? Literally, right, as soon as he played the assist for Sanchez's goal, everyone came to me like, oh, well, can you see what he can do now? It's like, no, he's shit. The boy can't hit a barn door. If that is our striking options, we're fucked. We won't make it past the Champions League qualifying groups. We won't make it very far in the Capital One Cup because who have we got next? Southampton. They'll fucking do us with Sonogo up front. FA Cup, well, we might as well kiss that goodbye. We might as well keep polishing that for the team that's going to win that off of us.
That refuse to give it back.
Yeah, and as for the Premier League, well, if we play till January with Sonogo as our main striker, we won't even make top 4. And I'm telling you that now for nothing. And I would put my fucking house on it.
Oh dear.
Bit depressing, that game. I don't think so. Pound for pound, honest to God, barring the Giroud injury, I think we're stronger.
Pound for pound, I'd rather have our fucking Black Labrador.
I think we're still stronger this start of this season. What we wasn't stronger than the start of last season.
We've just replaced what we've lost.
I think we're weaker in defence. We've lost. With Vermaelen, we haven't replaced that experience there. Chambers is obviously very good and he's got a lot of potential, but can we rely on him like we could for Vermaelen if he had to stand up just yet? Maybe towards the back end of the season. I think he still needs a lot of polishing on stuff like positional awareness. Obviously, Debussy, I think, is coming in and it is slotted in very well. But I am worried about that centre-back spot. At least Sadia was a 4th choice who could play there, and he did a couple of times last year. And as I said earlier, at the minute, who are we going to put there? I mean, Monreal played there in pre-season a few times, and that's a real worry. I think we can't rely on Nacho Monreal at centre back. In some of the games which we relied on Sadia last season, so that would be a big worry for me.
Yeah, and Dave, is there anything you wanted to come in with?
No, but do you feel better now you had that rant?
Yeah, I do actually.
Dave,
Yeah,
what was it like in your day on transfer deadline day? Because it was different back then, wasn't it? Because it didn't used to be 2 transfer windows. It used to be you could do transfers up until the date of the FA Cup semi-final, I think it was. So it usually means about mid-March.
there weren't none of this fuss going around then. People just used to move, and there weren't no song and dance about it. And one or two players had come up for sale. That would be it. I think players are just a lot more coveted now by lots of different clubs. Back then you could, not saying you could get away with having anyone of a standard, but it's a lot more imperative now for fans to be appeased and to get the top players, and fans want to see top players coming. Would if Ian Wright was coming from Crystal Palace and unknown like he was, would fans have been saying, "Oh, why aren't you signing someone who scored 35 goals last season? Why are you signing him?" And then all of a sudden he comes and he becomes one of the greatest players ever. Them kind of things don't happen very often now. It's players that have been watched and coveted from a young age, and they're in the teams from early in their careers, banging in goals, and by the time they're 21, they're worth the 40 millions and all that now. So I don't think you can really compare it to back then. But I'd just like to jump in and say I agree with Geoff. I think we are in a stronger position than we was last year. I think Chambers will come in and do better than Vermaelen. For me, Vermaelen, and when Vermaelen played alongside Koscielny, he always messed Koscielny up. He's positional play at times, and the way he used to dive into challenges when he had no cover behind him. I don't think Chambers will do that. I agree Chambers needs to settle into that position, but I think we're stronger there. And, he was a club captain last year and hardly played. So, he had to go, and we've got to replace him with someone new. I think we're stronger. The only position being centre forward. And regarding the DM, yeah, we could do with a defensive midfield player, but like when we had that chat last week, Gim, I think if you're going to be a defensive midfield player of any quality in this league, and you're going to actually push your team on to win something rather than just be a defensive midfielder for Newcastle so that you can stay in the league. If you're going to be a defensive midfield player in a team that wants to win the league, you've got to be as much an attacking player as anyone else. You've got to just be there when you need to be there to defend, and the rest of it you're going to springboard attacks. And that's a position where we haven't got that quality, and that going back to what Andrew said, that forces Giroud or whoever to drop back in the midfield to help them out, because the defensive midfield player's so deep. If everyone was pushed up the pitch, you could afford to go and buy Falcao and just say to him, look, you might not be fit, mate, but just stay within the width of the box, do what you can do on the ball. You ain't got to go and make him runs in behind. We've got players who can do that, but we want someone who the ball goes up there and sticks to stretch the team. And with Giroud coming deep all the time, we don't stretch other teams. That allows teams to squeeze up. If you've got no pace and no threat in behind, teams can squeeze up on you. And we've already seen it again at the start of this season, teams doing that. So, just summing up, we definitely need a centre forward to replace Giroud, someone of quality. And I'd go for someone who was half fit, who could just play, or someone who was, even someone like Benteke, who's going to sort of just knock people around for 90 minutes and just, cause a right problem and play with his, with his heart and have a little bit quality. I'd have someone like that, but a DM would be good. But we're in a better position than we was last year, barring we're struggling up front, and that's going to be the telling point in games, because you can't have 24 chances and only score 1 goal.
We'll start to wrap this up then, and as we do every deadline day podcast show, I will ask you 2 players that you'd like to come in, and you can't say Messi and Ronaldo. It doesn't work like that. It's got to be 2 players that you think are gettable, so to speak. And Geoff, I will start with the man in the firing line.
I don't know, mate. Honestly, it's just this. It's so difficult, isn't it? You don't know who's going where, what, when, and why. I'm at the moment I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm still confident. I'm still hoping that we'll bring 2 in. I was, like I say, two was mentioned, and let's just hope we do something just to cheer the fans up a little bit. I mean, it's all great. It's crazy. It's crazy anyway. Like David said, I think we're stronger. We've got what we've got. It's disappointing, but whatever happens at the end of the window, whatever we've got, we just got to support the lads and get on with it. Because, you never know what happens. We won the FA Cup last year. Who's to say that? I mean, these early games in the start of the season, anyway, they're always tough, especially when you're playing away from home. It's a great leveler. No one's really 100% fit. You're playing against new teams like Leicester and that. You don't know it's like their cup final. Very difficult places to go. It's still 11 against 11. But let's just get behind the boys, whatever happens. That's what I say.
And what would you say to all the people sat there now listening to this, thinking about writing you a tweet calling you a wanker because you lied?
Bring it on, man. What difference does it make?
He's got his Kevlar underpants.
We love it. Andrew, same question that Geoff had.
Up front, Edison Cavani, and in midfield, Lars Bender.
Fantastic. Dave?
Yeah, I'd go with Cavani up front. I think he's proven he'll come here and do a good job, and apparently he's still available. And I'd have Schneiderlin. I think he's adapted to the Premiership well. He's after a move, and yeah, I think he'd fancy it. Good player.
And finally, Danny, I know your prediction might probably change throughout the day to that Chinese man that we were going to sign called fucking no one.
I don't think we won't sign a single fucking player at all. We might see a few go out on loan, like Gnabry or Miyachi. I was talking to Kris last night, and he said those two might go. And it looks like Miguel might leave.
He's gone.
Is it Norwich?
Yeah, he's gone 1.5 million, I think.
Oh, we sold him.
Yeah,
bloody hell, that's a bit of a bonus. That's probably why he can stay in a nice hotel in Rome. Then superb. So there you go. So we will sign. I said this a week ago. We will sign nobody.
We were supposed to be doing the good cop, bad cop today, Danny. I was bad cop for this show. You were supposed to be a bit positive.
I thought he said bad cock.
Oh.
Apparently, Joel Campbell to Benfica might be on, according to the Portuguese press as well. They reckon they bid £7.8 million for him, but he's also considering a loan move out of fear regarding a lack of game time. But that's just what the Portuguese press say.
Just fucking sell them all. Just fucking sell them all and bring no one in.
Gim, do you want to do the major announcement of the day of who we have signed for the 11 PM podcast?
Yes.
Go on in.
Joining us at 11 PM.
Who's it going to fucking be?
Geoff, I don't know if you're going to... Are you going to be there for 11?
I'll be there, mate. No problem.
Oh,
right.
It's going to kick off.
I was going to ask for a bit of Tim Payton to come on with us at 11 as well.
Brilliant. Bring him on.
But the main man, the legend prestigior himself, Mr. Gav at She-War, will be joining us at 11 o'clock to give his thoughts on the transfer window.
Fucking hell.
It's going to be naughty.
If you've got sensitive hearing, I would advise you to
don't
not listen.
And we've also started a Twitter campaign to get Ian Wright on one of the shows today, and I hope he comes on, but I don't think he will.
So if you're listening to this, say, yo, Ian, come join the podcast, boys. At any point throughout the day, we're quite flexible.
If only we knew someone who knows Ian. God, can you think of anyone who might be on here with us now?
Who do we know that would know Ian Wright?
That's mates with Ian Wright.
Hold on, he's got the number here. It's 075...
I thought he was going to say something like 07, go fuck yourself.
Well, if you can get him on, Dave, you can come back, bring him with you.
I thought he was going to say you'll actually give me some credit on here.
No, you'll get all the credit, even for stuff when you're not here. You get all the credit.
Skype credit.
Yeah, I've got £11 worth of Skype credit. It's all yours. Dig deep.
Someone said that apparently Arsenal are unable to get hold of Wenger in Rome because he's refusing to pay for data roaming.
And is he a new player?
I think he is. He's a rush goalkeeper.
I also just got a message from Jace, Dave. He says that he misses you and he wants a scanned copy of your autograph as well.
Oh, he's going to have it tattooed on him.
NATO's in town this week, so they've had to put up a big fence to keep him out.
Oh, bless his socks.
It is, if you actually seen it. It's 11 miles round the centre of Cardiff, and I hear that's just to keep Jason away from Barack Obama because he was going to tell him he loved him. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast, Deadline Day Special Part 1. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in a couple of hours. Goodbye. Hello, and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland Deadline Day Special Part 2. I'm surprised I haven't fucked that one up yet. I'm Guna Gimli, and today I'll be joined by, first up, it's Danny. Hello, Danny.
Oh dear, I'm feeling quite poor. If I get a note from my mum, can I be excused from the rest of these podcasts?
No, because you have to edit this.
No.
I have to be here, so you have to be here too. That's just...
That was a rather erotic moan.
Them's just the rules.
Oh, go on then.
Next up, making his second appearance on the show, it's Thomas Munt. Is that how you say it?
It is. How's it going?
I'm not too bad. Do you know what? I missed you last time because I was enjoying my summer?
Yeah, I was trying.
Yeah, but as long as you enjoyed yourself, we haven't put you off too much.
Nope, I'm
Uh,
back.
Nice to see jokes like what went out before the podcast started haven't put you off now. Right, next up, we've got our injury specialist. It's Dom. Hello, Dom.
How are we, boys?
Are you happy?
No.
I feel
It's
we
a
should
common
move on then.
theme.
And next up, it's Geoff, but not the Geoff that you're all slagging off.
Is it the other one?
It's the other Geoff.
Oh, hello.
It's Geoff
Hello,
Oliver.
hello.
Freund.
Greetings, how are you?
Good.
I'm not too bad. We can confirm that Canada is a country and you are representing it today.
It is real, and we're still early in the morning, so we've got a whole day of transfers ahead of us. I'm certain of it, so I'm positive.
Not like us. It's 4:10 here and we're already pissed off.
That was not believable, was it?
And finally, this man will be known for his patience slogan or line, shall I say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you the one and only, the legend procedure that is Tim Payton.
Good evening. Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's not quite evening yet. We're not at that level of angry yet.
Oh,
11 o'clock.
And you will be joining us for 11 o'clock, I understand.
Yeah, I can only do about 25 minutes then, but love to.
That's all right because the way it's going to be quite a fiery podcast. We've got Geoff already booked in. Gav's going to be on there too. You're going to be on there as well. It's not going to be for the faint-hearted, I don't think.
I shall start eating red meat now.
So we'll kick off with you then, Tim. Your thoughts on the transfer window so far, or lack of activity?
Well, I'm not that surprised in the sense of signing any more big-name players, because I picked up back in July that after the initial wave of signings that Arsene Wenger was content, certainly with what you might call the first teamers in his squad, and the situation in midfield and centre forward. What I did expect over the next few weeks was a replacement for Thomas Vermaelen, and perhaps something to be done given the long-term injury to Oliver Giroud. I still know, despite the feeling that it's all shut down, that Arsenal are working very, very hard at the moment. I think it's defensive cover, and I think sit tight, but I'm optimistic that someone will come in as defensive cover before 11 o'clock tonight.
And Geoff, I don't know if you know the situation regarding Arsene Wenger, but he's not even in the country at the moment. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a bit mystifying, but then again, he signed Alexis Sanchez while lying on the beach in Rio. So, there's two ways to look at it: that he's identified his targets and the business team are making it happen, and he's relaxed, or we're done our business, which would be, I think, a little bit shocking in my opinion. So Tim has given me some hope there, which is an odd conundrum if I'm honest with you. But yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Really, maybe he's relaxed because he knows that we've done what we need to do. But the rest of us here are in meltdown mode, and we're shaking our fists, going, sign a center forward, sign a defensive mid, sign that center back coverage, get a couple more bodies in, so we can push on this year.
And Dom, you know a lot about the Olivier Giroud injury. It's been quoted that he's going to be back around January. Is there going to be any long-term effects to his rehabilitation?
Oh, look, I probably don't really know enough about the exact injury that he had as far as the operation and whatnot. But definitely, as soon as you have an injury where there's a joint involved, you get restriction in your movement in that joint, and it can set off a bunch of other sort of problems that you can have, similar to how Diaby ends up with a little niggle every time he goes out to play, the human tampon that he is. And so yeah, it's hard to know, but I mean, it's always a worry. It's always a concern for sure. I don't really know what to say about the whole situation. I think we needed a centre forward before he got injured anyway. And now that he's out for 4 months or so, I think everybody has decided that we needed one, except for the boss.
And as a man that studies Arsenal injuries in some depth, do you believe that Sanogo can be relied on to stay fit enough for those 4 or 5 months that Giroud is out?
It's a fair workload, isn't it, for a young guy? He's struggled with a few little soft tissue injuries before, so that you'd always have a bit of a concern there for sure. I've got a a funny feeling that Sanchez is his long-term number one striker, regardless of whether Giroud was there or not. Just the way that the system's changed a little bit, but I think the whole team just needs to start to gel a little bit and click a little bit, which is probably what's caused Twitter to go into such a meltdown, is because we're not playing well at the moment, as well as obviously being told that we probably won't be signing too much more. So it's a tough one.
And Thomas, I mean, you're across the pond at the moment. What is it being made out over there? Is it still the disbelief that we haven't signed anybody yet?
Well, I follow a lot of the same people on Twitter, and it's still kind of morning here. We're actually on a bank holiday, so I'm not sure how too many people are even watching. But the ones that are, I don't think the mood's very good, because there's obvious places we need to rectify in the squad. You know, we're going to go into the season, if we don't sign anybody, with 6 starting defenders, like 6 first-team defenders, and we have 50-plus games still to play this season. It's just crazy.
I mean, I think there is a fair amount of disillusion amongst the fans. Everybody, and I'm sorry that I'm repeating what I said on the last podcast, that everybody can see that money needed to be spent. Tim, what would you say to the people that have said that we've spent, near 100 million in this window and we should all be happy with that?
Well, we haven't. We've spent about 75 million so far in this window, if you include agents' fees, which is quite considerable now in football, and received about 30 million. So about a 45 million net spend. We probably went into the window with about 100 million pound of available resources. That's even allowing for 40 million kept aside for Champions League contingency and 60 million kept aside for debt service requirements and generally running the club. So I know that's a lot of numbers at once, but the punchline figure is today they could easily spend 55 to 60 million pound on players. And that's from available public accounts. People say, how do you know that? Of course, what I don't know is whether 55 to 60 million pounds is made available to Arsene Wenger or whether Stan Kroenke or the board keep it back. If they do keep it back, it's not going anywhere else. At the moment, it's not being taken out of the club as dividends, as management fees. It's there. I tend to believe it comes much more down to Arsene Wenger's view on the market and what he wants to spend. But that's the bit, of course, where I'm hypothecating. Where I can be factual is about the money that's in the club because, cleverer people than me on the Arsenal Supporters Trust board who work in finance analyse these figures carefully.
And what would you say, as Arsenal fans, we try to cling on to any little bit of hope that we can, but what would you say to the people that were sold a dream that Champions League qualification would maybe see a few more names in the door? Was that always pie in the sky, or was that something that was, doable?
Well, no, it is doable, and we have signed some good names already this summer, and we do have a very, very good squad. I mean, we go through these kind of roller coasters of transfer window emotions. So when we didn't sign Cesc Fabregas, it was the end of the world. When we signed, a right back and Sanchez, it was like probably too ecstatic. People had us winning everything, and they kind of probably need to get back to reality, which is at the moment we have the 3rd or 4th best squad in English football. It's probably where we're finished, and we're not quite able to fight to be the very best in Europe. We're not great. We're not terrible. We sit in that category of quite good. Probably the frustration and what brings out these extremes is the feeling that with a little bit more investment and thought we could push on to compete with the very best. But today you're probably seeing too much of a downer to contrast with other things. And then, if they put out a signing at 11 o'clock tonight, some people will go over the top and proclaim him as a genius again. The fact is that we're a moderately successful club, which is a bit too cautious with using its money in the transfer window.
And Danny, you've sat there quietly so far. I can understand that you're quite annoyed. Is there anything that you wanted to ask Tim, or indeed anything that any of the panel here wanted to ask Tim?
I've just something I wanted to point out. We were talking before the pod started, saying that club have just broke their transfer record and bought Abel Hernandez, and I thought, being a Palermo fan, I went and had a quick look at his stats on Wikipedia, and it says 91 goals in 111 games. Now, being a Palermo fan for the time he's been there, I know they've been relegated from Serie A and they've been promoted from Serie B. And I thought 91 in 111 sounds a bit wonky. I've gone down the bottom, looked at the actual stats. It's 31 in 111. I reckon people are going around changing stuff on Twitter, so people like us go and go, yeah, I know he's got 91 goals in 111 games, and then people have a laugh because they've just been been cheeky, like when the American bloke scored in the World Cup, and they were saying that he was the greatest American that ever lived. Things like that. So I just think you've got to be careful, because this is how some of the things people try and catch you out with, all the stuff they go and edit and muck around with, but they just changed one figure, and it's no good. I'm just really annoyed, but like Tim says, me and Tim and a few others like Gav knew that Wenger wouldn't go out and spend the money. I mean, on our website I keep a little details of some of the details of the players in and the players out. They're not going to be as accurate as Tim's figures, but I've got it here that we've spent £62 million and we've got back £35 million. So out of all the money we've had in and all this massive big war chest, that they go, we spent 62 million, but yeah, we've taken in 35. So there's still plenty of money there to go out and buy someone, including wages and agents' fees and other fees and any other stuff they want to add on to it. There's plenty of money there, and it's just annoying that every single other club is going out and strengthening in all the positions. I don't want us spending £62 million on two right backs and an attacking midfielder when we don't need two right backs and an attacking midfielder. We needed one, and we needed a goal scorer and a defensive midfielder. So it's just getting really annoying. I know, Geoff, you had a question that you're going to ask Dom?
Yeah, that's I did. Dom reminded me when he was talking about Giroud there. At one point that I wanted to bring up is that by not buying a center forward and relying on our options, it puts a lot of pressure on the guys who are injured and coming back. And I know, Dom, you would have some insight in this. It's not ideal to say, take Walcott, for example, take Theo and bring him back from injury and say, right, you're going to go play 90 minutes up front or even 70 minutes. What type of comeback plan would be in place for a guy like Theo?
Yeah, good question. Normally, with an ACL injury like he's had at his age, especially, to avoid those types of other injuries that you can get, like I was talking before, where the thing is, when you have an ACL injury, you're also recovering from a hamstring injury, because that's where they take a graft from. So to avoid him getting any soft tissue niggles and for them to keep popping up a little bit like Kieran Gibbs has at the moment, probably looking at something like in another 2 weeks, maybe the week after the Man City game, putting him on the bench, have him play 15 minutes, maybe something like that, and then give him more of a run in a Capital One Cup game or a something like that there's not too much pressure on him, just to get him some match fitness and some confidence. But yeah, to think that he's just going to be the guy that comes in and takes over the reins up front, it's going to be way too much expectation way too soon. He's probably not going to be at his best fit and feeling good until about the same time that Giroud's scheduled to come back, really. He might be playing games, but he's not going to be, being out of the game for so long, he's not going to be at his best for at least a couple of months after he returns.
I mean, you've also got to look at it short term as well. I mean, we've got a rather big game against Man City coming up. If there is no signings in this window, and I really hope to God it doesn't happen, but if Man City go out and put 4 or 5 past us, the atmosphere is going to be toxic, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, no, I'm usually one of Arsene Wenger's biggest supporters. I'm usually pretty positive and stuff like that, but I genuinely, like we've been talking about this whole time, there's money there to spend. I don't think anybody's asking us to go and spend every single dime that's available. I don't think any of us care what the transfer fee is. We just want to see gaps in the squad filled when we have the resources available, and I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't necessarily think we should have spent £55 million on Falcao, but if you look at the strikers that have moved this summer, there's no question that we could have brought one of them in, and we needed a striker before Giroud got hurt. So, it's one of those things that, it's just really frustrating, because it's the same old problems that we were assured we wouldn't be having once the new money became available.
So, Tim, is it now got to a case of it doesn't matter who it is, we'll take who we get, or can we hopefully or realistically hope for any big names at this late stage?
Well, let me give the upside and the downside. Mikel Arteta was signed very late in a transfer window. In fact, on the last day, he didn't even have a medical. Per Mertesacker wasn't quite the last day, but was the last 48 hours. Ozil, although that doesn't quite count, because we knew we were going to pick up one of Madrid's 3 players, that they were going to release someone to pay for funds. We were actually hoping for Benzema and got Ozil. It probably would have been better if it had been Benzema, given the strategic squad issues we had. So there are positives about deadline days, negatives about deadline days. Park, Santos, not getting Schwarzer when a goalkeeper was needed, not getting Demba Ba when a striker was needed. I mean, you run high risk of being blocked, overcharged, and things going wrong. Who knows? You know, when a player comes in, will it be a fantastic signing that will help our squad, or will it be what will famously become, in the terms of Arsenal folklore, Deadwood? We'll have to wait and see. But it's really high risk, and it's not the way that a big, strong professional club should be acting, to be scraping around, you know, trying to get a deal that will work in the last hours of the transfer window. It calls into question the professionalism of the people running the club.
And the people that are talking about maybe signing Marco Reus or Edinson Cavani, I mean, you work in those kind of circles, and you would have known from the Ozil transfer last year that was probably breaking to people like you and us that know certain people in and around the club at around 7 or 8 o'clock the previous evening. I mean, that's a big transfer. You would have thought if there was a big one going to go through, that we would have at least had a whisper of it by now, wouldn't you?
You would. It's not totally impossible, but I think the idea of there being what you would call a star transfer, I thought that had gone in late July, when I was told that he couldn't find any stars in the defensive midfield or centre forward position that he thought were worth the money or would improve his squad. But I'd be delighted but astounded if that happened now. They don't, you know, they build up over a number of days at that size. The amount of work that he's doing on the image rights, on the contract, on working with agents, on the fact that agents will put the name of what's happening out there to try and get a better deal from another club. It just doesn't seem likely. I think, you know, we probably have to face the fact that if we get anyone, it's going to be squad cover now. But squad cover, you know, you don't have to be that great to be better than Yaya Sanogo.
No, that is very, very
Precisely.
true.
And that's people will, even now, they'll say, oh, but he's not as good as Olivier Giroud. That's not the question. The question is, are they better than what Yaya Sanogo can offer? If they are, then almost certainly their value at the moment.
And it gets to 11 o'clock tonight, say, and nobody has been signed. Geoff, fingers will be pointed. And in what direction do you feel that they should be pointed?
Well, that's there's really a finger that should be pointed squarely at Highbury House, right? And it just boggles the mind, doesn't it, Gimli? That you look around at the title contenders, and if we pick on center forward, because we've been picking on that already in this podcast. You look at City, they've got Aguero, they've got Zeko, they've got Negredo coming back. You look at Chelsea, they did business early for Costa. They've got Remy, and that deal went through very quickly. And they've got Drogba. Man United, Falcao, RVP, Rooney. And then you look at Arsenal and you kind of go, good God, what's going on here? It just doesn't make any sense. And Tim, your point about bringing in a squad player, even if it's just for numbers now, I mean, that's where we're kind of at. If you look at our title rivals, they've got 3 good number 9s or strikers in their squad, because they know that they've got to go through Champions League. They've got cup games. Well, maybe not Man United, but the rest of them do. And they've got a Premier League to go through. And we've got Sonogo. It just let's get a warm body in there, right? Like,
let's get back to the position that is really the crisis position, which is the defence. There are 6 players covering 4 positions. If we were to have a long-term injury to one of our centre-backs, we'd have 2 that would have to play every week. No rest, no rotation, no cover for suspensions, no cover for their injuries. We wouldn't have a cover at right back, probably because Chambers would either be one of those injured or playing in centre back. It's just extraordinarily skinny. So this argument that, I don't want so-and-so signed, they're a useless centre back. We've got to get someone in there, or they'll be picking someone out the stands to play. It needs must. And, almost anyone signed who's got a pulse and a pair of boots and can play at centre-back is better than what we have at the moment. Of course, I want them to be strong as possible, but let's be realistic about the corner we've put ourselves in and gradual improvement. We have to have some defensive cover signed before 11, or we are in such trouble this season.
And am I right in saying, I think we said it on the last podcast, is Ignacy Macau gone now?
I think he's gone to Norwich.
Is that? I thought that was 1.5 million, or is that loan?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's signed for Norwich now. He's certainly out of the picture. But it does make you wonder. But well, there must be. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, still optimistic about defensive cover coming in. What you're going to have is some patience till 11 o'clock.
Oh Jesus! You just
Drop the
have
people.
to go
I
there.
can't help it. It's a trick.
Have you got a tattoo of it somewhere on your body?
It's a brand.
Hey,
Yeah.
trademarked.
He's about to change his name to Tim Patience.
You'd have been gutted if I hadn't, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, we would have been. Wow. It just wouldn't have been a proper podcast if you hadn't have mentioned that P word. So, Thomas, we'll go back to you now. If it does get to 11 o'clock, it's pretty much the same question that I was going to chuck Jeff's way. We're playing the blame game. Whose blame does the door lie at?
Well, as I said before, I'm usually a massive Arsene Wenger apologist, but I think it has to go with him. I mean, for the same reasons I said earlier, we have resources available, and we're just simply not using them. As Tim was just saying that I kind of alluded to earlier, we have 6 first-team defenders. If you look at the ones that are out right now, Koscielny's missing out of the France game today with his head injury he sustained. Gibbs is already out, so we're already down to 4, and we have 4 positions to cover. That's just, I mean, for me, like, you know, some people will point to, you know, Hector Bellerin and say, well, at least we have some cover at right back or what have you, and he looked good in preseason. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 19-year-old kid. Like, we have Champions League to play. You know, we're trying to sign people like Alexis Sanchez and stuff, but then we don't go out and show those signings that we really mean business. I mean, it's infuriating, especially for someone like me that's generally so positive and so, you know, so upbeat. It makes you wonder in regards to holding mid and forward if, you know, the only thing I can think of is we're going to have some kind of style change in the way we play as opposed to just having one up front because as it stands, we don't have a true number 9 that isn't Yaya Sanogo. And as much as we've been ragging on him in this podcast, it's not really his fault. I mean, when you look at it, he's our third choice center back. Or our third choice striker because you have Giroud and you have Sanchez, and then you have Sanogo. So the fact that we're already having to play him and we're not considering signing anybody there, as far as any of us know, is just baffling.
And to go back to centre-back, I mean, I'm not going to shit on Callum Chambers because I think Callum Chambers was an absolutely sublime bit of business. However, we did see glimpses of the nastier side of his game yesterday when, was it Aloha was through and just shot wide and he went absolutely tanking and sliding. I mean, he's got to take the nitty-gritty bits out of his game. I mean, there is still a lot of learning there. I mean, you can't see him being our, say, second choice or third choice centre-back, should I say. Because if Koscielny or Mertesacker does get injured, it's going to be a big ask for him to come in, isn't it, I think? Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Interrupting. No, you're fine. Dom,
go on, Thomas.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a big ask for him. I think, you know, as promising as we can all tell he is, you know, he is a bit raw. He does like to pip in ahead of challenges. He's going to pick up his fair few yellow cards just because he's young and eager and wants to impress. But, you know, ultimately, if you're playing a Champions League game or even if you're playing a Premier League game, would you feel comfortable putting Callum Chambers up against Sergio Aguero or Falcao or now Costa? You know, that's the question we're answering here is, you know, if this year was the year we were promised to be competing for the title. And as it stands, this squad is only good enough to maybe make top 4 again. I think that's the biggest infuriation of them all is, you know, it's kind of the loss of a dream if nothing happens between now and then. Just not because I don't think our first 11 is good enough, but the bottom line is we already don't have our entire fit first 11.
No, I mean...
And we're not doing anything about it, so...
You look at the back of, and sorry, Dom, because we always use you for injuries, but you look at the back of yesterday's game. Ozil injured off the back of that. Koscielny withdrawn from the France squad. I don't think Chamberlain was for England today either, was he? I mean, the injuries soon start to mount up, don't they?
Yeah, well, look, that's just, like I keep saying, we've got probably more injuries this time of the season than we did this time last season, and everyone was throwing stones at the fitness team wherever they could, saying it was all their fault. But like I kept saying, it's 50% fitness, if that, and so much of it is the fact that you're playing a physical game and people take kicks and injuries are just part of what goes on, and sometimes you just get shit luck. Arteta's injury was just bad luck. Ozil's injury yesterday was just bad luck. You get kicked, you get stepped on. Sometimes it's nothing. 9 times out of 10, it's nothing. But for that one time, like Giroud out of 1,000, you break your ankle. So you're absolutely right. You can't go into the season thinking, well, there's my first 11, that's good enough. You need to be looking and expecting that there's going to be players that are missing chunks of the season because it's just going to happen. There's no ways about it. You can get the best fitness coach in the world to come in, but you can't stop someone getting kicked in the ankle and breaking their foot. So to not have cover for that, or to not have cover like Thomas was mentioning perfectly, why would you put Carl Jenkinson out on loan and then sell Ignacy Miguel and not bring any and Thomas Vermaelen and bring in one player?
It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No, it's absolutely baffling. So hopefully Tim's right and they're working hard on to get some kind of defensive cover back there. But, I mean, surely that should have been done by now. Surely you don't go and sell your third choice centre-back, your captain, one of the most experienced players at the club, without having a bit of a backup plan in place before you let him go. It would have been better off keeping him for a season and letting him go for free.
I think the one thing that strikes me is doing these, and we did one in January, and I think, again, we packed up at 8 o'clock in the evening. And I remember the quote that Arsene Wenger came out with the next day, if only we had more time. Tim, how much of a slap in the face is that to fans when they've had all this time to scout faces, to assess positions, to look at people that might not be back, people that could potentially be an injury risk for the season? Is it a slap in the face for fans?
Well, I think the slap in the face is we were all hit with a 3% increase in ticket prices this year to bring in another 2.6 million on top of the 100-odd million that ticketing brings in. And we said to the club, well, do you really need that money? Are you going to spend it? And of course, it hasn't been spent and it won't be spent. And that's a slap in the face. I think ticket prices are far too high, for the ordinary fan who wants to support their team now. But if every penny was being financial money was being strained to make the team as strong as it could, you'd have a little bit more sympathy for why the ticket prices were where they were. If Falco and Khedira were arriving today and I could look at the accounts and say, well, that's really tight, I'd have a bit more sympathy for it. But I think it is a slap in the face to keep taking more money out of us, to make the games category A when they overflow the season ticket like they did this year, and then for the money just to sit there. I think that is downright offensive, really, isn't it?
I would say so. I mean, do any of you boys have anything else to add to this? Because we should start to wrap it up a little bit now.
Yeah, I would just add to Tim's point that it's infuriating that this seems to be self-imposed. Like we impose our own sort of set of rules to this transfer window that we seem to abide by. And we almost cut ourselves off at the legs. And everyone's right in that they're saying, we just need those 2 or 3 players to push on. We've had all summer. We did some business early, but we just didn't tackle those 2 or 3 positions. And even if you said we only need that defensive cover and then Giroud has his injury, we've even had a couple weeks since that's happened, and we've known about it, or at least a week. We saw a fast Chelsea move for Remy. I mean, we can make these deals happen, and it just is so infuriating sometimes.
And as we end every podcast for the deadline day with the same question, I will ask you which 2 players you'd like to see come in before 11 o'clock. Of course, you can't say Messi and Ronaldo. It's got to be realistic targets. Danny, you already did yours. Have yours changed since before?
Anyone. Just anybody who can kick a ball.
Just anyone that's got 2 legs and that isn't injured?
Hillier could do worse than Hillier. Oh, there's a squirrel. Oh.
God, just total lack of attention. Thomas, you next. 2 players?
I'm kind of in the same boat. Anybody that can kick a ball at this point. But I think of the ones we've been linked with, if I get 2, William Carvalho, because he can cover the most positions, and a striker. I don't even know who we're linked with or who's available anymore, because I think, the big name signings like Cavani, I think, are beyond us, or Royce, or whoever else people are banding about. So at this point, just another striker. I mean, like we said, anything's better than Sanogo. He's got 0 goals and 34 shots and 700-something minutes. I mean, at some point, the gamble isn't working.
And Dom?
I'd love Schneiderlin. I've said all along that I think that he would be absolutely perfect for what we need. So I'd chuck him in at defensive midfielder, and I'd just go out and get a centre-back that can cover across the back line somewhere, and and I'm probably not as worried about our forward line as what some people are. I think Alexis is his first choice striker. And with Theo coming back and, I don't know, Campbell getting a go, I think we've got enough numbers up there. I think where we've got deficiencies is definitely in the defensive area as far as number-wise go. So, anyone.
That's good. Tim?
Okay, I think we need Premier League ready players because I think we're a bit dispirited at the moment, a bit unorganised, and we need players that hit the ground running. And I'm also going into the grounds of practicality here. So if he has a release clause of £19 million from Swansea, Boney to play up front, and I agree, I think Schneiderlin from Southampton because I think he's Premier League ready and he'd add something in there now. I think it's unlikely they'd sell, but 25 million might make them think twice. So that is what I would do with my deadline day money.
And finally, Geoff.
Well, you guys have hit on the players that I would have picked. So let's go with Christopher Samba and Kevin Doyle.
Oh, not Kris Samba. Jesus Christ.
And the one that I'd still watch out for, not advocating, but watch out for, is where Welbeck is going to end up.
Hopefully Tottenham. That's number one.
Is he better? But you see, this is back to my practicality question. Is he better or not than Sonogo?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's scored before, but I don't know how much better.
See, that's the problem we have at the moment. That's where we're cornered. If he's better than Sonogo, it's better to sign him before 11 o'clock than not.
True, suppose, but there's a hell of a lot of others I'd rather have than him.
And
I've just got one little thing to add before, fellas. What was this whole, oh, well, we're not going to go out and rebuy Cesc Fabregas because we need the money to spend elsewhere? The money's not being spent anywhere. It makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever.
It's going to haunt him. At the time, I thought it was the right decision because I didn't think that we needed in that position like we needed elsewhere.
No, neither.
But
I completely agree. But when you sit there and you look now and you think, well, you probably just handed Chelsea the title. I didn't rate Diego Costa until Fabregas turned up there.
And I tell you what, Ozil is never going to be half the player Fabregas is in the Premier League. He's just not physically strong enough for the Premier League like Fabregas is. That's going to haunt us now going forward for a long time.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast transfer deadline day special part 2. I'm still surprised I've not fucked that one up. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye now.
Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast deadline day part 3. I'm Gunnar Gimli, and tonight I will be joined by, first up, it's Danny, the producer of our show. Hello, Danny.
Oh, I've been trying to self-harm with a spoon for 2 hours and I'm getting nowhere.
Have you seen the Danny Welbeck news as well, then?
Oh, God, don't. I'm going to get 2 spoons. Fuck it.
Oh, I best move on. Next up, making her debut on the show. Hello, Becca.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How would you like me to refer to you? Is Rebecca okay, or Bex? Or...
Bex is good.
Fantastic. Next up, it's our own grumpy Welshman. It's Jason Davis. Hashtag Welsh Justice. Hashtag Carpenter out.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I'd just like to apologise to Bex for the foul language that's going to come out my mouth.
No, Jace, this is a family show.
No potty mouthness. God, we've got Raj as well. We're going down.
The C word. And finally, from the BSM and ABW panel member, it's Raj Patel. Hello, Raj.
Hello, my ginger Welsh goblin. How are you?
Not ginger or Welsh, but carry on.
he's been known to goblin.
I've been planning that. I've got a different reply every time you introduce me this season. I've got to say something completely different.
When is a pixie not a pixie?
When?
When it's got its head up a fairy skirt, then it's a goblin. Right. We'll start off then with the news of Danny Welbeck. Jason, you've taken this particularly badly.
All summer.
I'm going to need a fucking bleep.
They've had all fucking summer.
Beep, beep.
And what's the best we can do?
Beep.
Danny fucking Welbeck. I'm not being funny. I'm as pro Arsene Wenger as they come. But this is a piss take. It's a joke of the highest order. There's no defensive midfielder. There's no centre-back. It's 7 o'clock on transfer deadline day. Him and Gazidis can just go. They could just go, please. I've had enough. They've had all summer for this. And if somebody says, oh, but we needed more time, I may say something I regret.
And on that news, I've just seen a picture of Danny Welbeck in an Arsenal shirt. Oh dear. I don't really know what to say about that. Raj, what do you make of this transfer?
It's a joke. I mean, we've had all summer, as Jason said, and there's a standard article that Bex has just sent us actually, which says that we're actually going to buy him for 17 million quid. 17 million quid. Just repeat that to yourselves. We've had since July to buy a striker, and we're now going to. I'm speechless. Honestly, I am furious.
And Bex, what would you say to the people that are saying it's an improvement on Sonogo?
I hate to say it, but I might agree with that a little bit. It's not ideal. I agree with the other two guys. I have had all summer, and it's not ideal at all. But it's better than nothing. I hate to say that. If anything, I'm more pissed off with it seems like a panic all over again, and it's like you've had 3 months, sort it out, and it could be a lot worse. But I'm trying to see the positive side of it. He could be a good player for us. You know, he needs game time if we give it to him. But 17 million, ouch.
Yeah, I think I echo those thoughts. Danny, you're one that's pretty much 99% positive most of the time.
Me?
No, yeah.
Have we got 2 people with my name on this pod?
I was being irony.
Hello.
But what's your thoughts?
Well, I think he's an outstanding buy because he once scored 2 goals in 8 games for Preston in 2010. Do you hear? You know, earlier in the last pod, I said people fuck with Wiki. Someone's fucked with his Wiki. It says appearances 90, goals 200,000. It really does.
It's actually 20, isn't it?
These people are so stupid. They just put one extra character on. Yeah, it's for Man United. He's got 29 in 139. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's just under 1 in 5. That's last season. He scored 1 Premier League goal in 27 games. You could stick. I would bet Sonogo would do better than that if you played 27 games up front for us. He's bound to get one off his arse.
Hasn't he played 17?
Yeah.
Put money on that, Danny. Put money on that.
What?
Because I can't see Sonogo scoring in a brothel.
Well,
he's a joke. It's a bloody joke.
It's not good, is it?
There is rumours that we could be getting a Huntelaar, though.
Oh no, that is not a joke. That is a thing of beauty. I would stab anyone on this panel just to get a sniff of him coming. Do you know what Welbeck's full name is? Not that I'm laughing at people's names. I'd never do people like that. People who don't have British names. Daniel Nii, then Tackie, then Mensah, then Welbeck. That is a name that you couldn't have. Yeah, you couldn't have that on the back of a shirt.
Another vowel.
The only thing that's going to save this transfer window is Jesus of Galilee, okay? This is taking the piss.
You won't get that on the back of a shirt either.
Jace, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a failure has this transfer window been for Arsenal?
35.
Oh, that's the maximum.
I'm serious, okay? I've backed him all along. You know, I've always had faith in the guy. I've stood there on the WhatsApp group. You've all seen it. Don't worry. It'll happen. It'll come off.
Don't worry, be happy.
All fucking summer. Now, no offence, okay? We don't get that much of a summer in Wales, okay? You go to the south of France, it's a bit longer. But it's taking the piss. Enough's enough. I'm sick and tired of the fucking words war chest. Oh, we've got plenty of money. Financial model. New sponsorship revenues. They can suck my dick. They're
Net
not doing
spend
fuck
is
all.
another one, Jace.
Yes, it's taking the fucking piss, boys. Sorry, Bex, I do apologise.
Absolutely fine.
And Danny...
Sorry, boys, it's fucking wrong. They'll try to put the ticket prices up again this season. It's fucking wrong.
And Danny, you've got some more wiki news for us.
I'll tell you what, the wiki elves are busy. Apparently there's no way on earth we can sign Klaus-Jan Huntelaar, Dirk-Jan Klaus Huntelaar, because according to Wiki, he signed for Arsenal in 2010. On his Wiki page, he scored 60 goals in 101 games for Arsenal. Seriously, someone's just edited it and forgot to put Arsenal after. Is it Schalke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've forgotten.
Schalke, not Schalke.
When it's got an E at the end, those bloody Germans, if they knew how to spell properly, they Schalke. Shakel, Schalke. There you go, job sorted.
Oh, Jesus.
So there we go. So he's got one goal in one for them people who I can't pronounce. But yeah, so someone's gone and edited Wiki, because anybody can go and edit Wiki, but only then they'll lock it, and then only registered people like me are allowed to edit it. But yeah, so 60 goals in 101 games, that's not too bad. I didn't realise he'd been there for the last 4 years.
It's better than Welbeck.
It
It's gotta
certainly
be
is.
better than
No,
Welbeck.
Welbeck's got 200,000 goals in 90 games.
Oh yeah, of course.
That if you got to
bargain,
word for
17
that,
million.
that's prolific. You've got to say.
Oh, we just had a message on Skype from Andrew from the pod. He says straight from Welbeck's agent, it's 18 million to buy or £3 million to loan. I'm going to ask him how much is it to tell him to fuck off.
So have we not made up minds up yet?
No, not according to Andrew.
For fuck's sake, Jesus Christ! Honestly,
they know we prefer.
Am I the only one who just doesn't think that we do this last minute every year?
We always do, because
Can I just say something? 3 weeks ago, when we first started these podcasts for the season, you'll remember that I was quite positive about our transfers, and you can go back and listen to it. I was well up for it. We'd lost 3 players. We'd replaced them with 3 very good players, one of which, Chambers, is just going to be a complete star for us. And then we've added on Alexis Sanchez, who was brilliant, who's going to be a great player for us. And I was positive, but I'd actually thought that we were going to carry on and fill in those last bits of the jigsaw, and we haven't.
I think that's the most painful thing, though.
And it's year in, year out. It's 5 transfer windows since we've got rid of Robin van Persie, and we've done fuck all since then.
Bex, you wanted to come in on that?
I was just saying, I think everyone was positive when we signed Sanchez and Debussy and Chambers, especially the way Chambers played. I don't think for that reason you can write off the window completely, but at the same time it's this feeling of being let down at the last hurdle almost. Like everything looks good and you think you're 1, 2, maximum 3 players off really challenging on all 4 fronts, and it just seems like, really, you're panic buying again? It's like,
sorry, can I come in on that for a second? When we bought Sanchez, as Raj said a few weeks ago, everybody's positive, okay? But actually, as it turns out, as it stands right now, we've only added Sanchez to the squad. Chambers has replaced Vermaelen. Debussy
that's because we all thought we were going to add more.
Yeah, but Debussy's a massive upgrade on Sadia. Ospina, whatever, we haven't seen him yet. He's still injured. But this is a joke. If anybody thinks, and I include Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis and Stan Kroenke, that Sanogo, Arteta and Flamini are going to win the title, well, I need to give up sport altogether, because it's a frigging joke. Arteta just crabs around the park, gives a sideway pass and hides again. Flamini, I love him to bits. He's a violent, horrible person. He's just my type. But, he's not going to push play and stretch play and cover everything. He's just not. And Sanogo, well, the Bambi jokes about him are correct. Now, it's unfortunate Ollie's been injured, but we needed a striker last season. And we heard at the end of January, if only we had more time. Well, you've had a summer.
But Jace, where does, and we said this on the last podcast, you got to play the blame game, and where does the blame lie?
Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis.
That's fair enough. Raj, I mean, another question that we've asked in previous podcasts, but what the hell is he doing in Rome?
Don't ask me. I've got absolutely no idea why he's in Rome, right? So I'm stumped. Does he need to be here to sign players? Probably not. A lot of people will argue that he doesn't need to be here because we've got this kind of legendary figure, Dick Law. I don't know whether he actually exists or whether it's just a title that they've given to some statue at Arsenal or something. But he doesn't need to be here. But, I mean, it's just sending out the wrong signals as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's kind of telling us that he's got no intention of buying anyone. I mean, and the Welbeck thing, I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. We don't know. Is he at medical? He might be. Will he pass it? Will we actually go and buy him? I don't know. Got no idea. I've given up. I've absolutely given up now.
Bex, what would it take for you to turn this transfer window round?
Oh God, I don't know if anything could really turn it round now. I'm kind of just going with the fact that it's more of a relief. That's the thing. Like, I see people celebrating that Welbeck's having a medical just because it's anyone that was signing. It's more of just a relief that someone's coming in for everyone, I think. But I'll be honest, you can ask all my friends, I genuinely thought we'd have 3 people come in this last week. I thought we were going to get a decent centre back to come in. I thought we were going to get Billy C in DM. And I genuinely thought we were going to make, a last-ditch big signing. And I had my heart set on Marco Reus. I really did. And I'm just gutted. I really am.
And the breaking news at the moment that we're getting from Andrew is that Sky Sports News is actually saying that Welbeck to Arsenal is off. So we've all got mortally pissed off for absolutely fuck all.
Well,
we need to sign a striker or we need to sign a defender. We cannot sign neither. It's unfathomable. It really is. But you either have to go out and try and score more than you concede, or you need cover if you're going to be. It's really winding me up now.
But I think one of the other major spots in the team that we need to strengthen is central defensive midfield, and it doesn't even look like we're anywhere near close to doing that in the 4 hours that there is left, Jace?
I'm at a loss. I'm totally at a loss as to what's going on and what the thought process is behind this. What's been the point of a new stadium? Why didn't we just stay at Highbury, kick our heels back? We could still be playing Henry up front, couldn't we? What the hell? Because obviously, nobody gives a shit. Obviously, nobody gives a shit. Because that's how it's coming across. We've signed Alexis Sanchez, that's it. Yet we need a defensive midfielder. And Ollie Giroud up front, we had a conversation about him last night, but, he's not enough on his own. And Yaya's no go. As somebody tweeted earlier on, it's as if somebody won a raffle in the crowd. And there you go, you get to play.
And Raj, as a man from the BSM who's run previous campaigns before, with your BSM glasses on, how do you look at this transfer window in general?
Well, we're not really about transfers, to be honest. We keep saying that, so we're not going to do anything. I'm a fan, and I'm a very passionate fan. And whatever happens today, and even though I'm more than likely going to be very disappointed with what happens today, I'll still be going, next week and the week after, and the week after that. So it doesn't stop me from supporting the Arsenal, but it does allow me to criticise, and I think all fans should be able to criticise. I mean, all these people who blindly support Arsene Wenger, I mean, they must realise that something's gone wrong. I mean, if I see anyone on Twitter today trying to apologise for this, there's going to be shit happening, honestly. This is just going to kick off because I'll just stir it up tonight like nobody's business.
And you said about an ITK purge. Now, of course, we've had... I myself, when I found out that we were interested in Morgan Schneiderlin, I said that there was a possible deal that we did. I put my hands up to that. It didn't come off, but that's what I was told at the time. Have you had any little doozies that have been sent to you over the last couple of days that people have really put their foot in the shit?
Well, I mean, yeah, a few, which we'll talk about them in a minute. But I'd like to speak to Danny first. Is Danny still there?
I wasn't eating coffee at all.
No, you were you?
Oh, eating coffee.
He's put 12 biscuits in here. That's why.
You're a fucking animal.
I just had four crumpets. Crumpets.
So, Danny, can you explain to us your rant at Indy Carlier last night? I thought you were best mates with him.
There's only one person that I go out of my way to have a go at on Twitter, and very, very rarely use the C word, and I used it 3 times in one sentence. I'm not going to say what I said, but just get the C word, any random 5 other words, mix them up, and you'll be close to what I said. I think he tweeted that some player was joining someone or another, and then
Lucas Leiva, it was.
That was it, and then Lucas Leiva come back and said, I don't know what your people have been telling you, but I am not moving, or I'm not doing this. It's why do you tell your followers so much rubbish? And then this Indy liar got back to him and said, oh, if someone needs to be punished, they will be punished. We're very sorry about that. I thought, you fucking
what's he going to do?
tit.
Chuck a chicken wing at him?
Oh,
so what did he say? He said cheers Gov or something, as if he's on first name terms with him.
He makes out that he tweeted a while ago, why don't people take me and my reporters more seriously? Click here to find out why. I thought, you fucking prick.
Because you're an absolute end.
No, sorry, he said thanks, Chief, he said.
Oh.
As if he's best mates with him.
Oh, just really winds me up. People stop clicking on anything that does. He could put here, the moon is made of cheese, click here to read more, and then it could say, actually, no, it's not, or he'll have a link to some other site. He knows nothing. Every single thing he does, he just gets some other places. I doubt very much he even knows what day it is.
We've had some new ones this year. They've been, I mean, all the old ones have died. I think we may have killed them off last year.
Poor old Dean has left, hasn't he?
Dean's gone, but there's a guy called Jimmy Chalides who said on the 31st of July the deal for Khedira is close, and then Trevor Dempster. I'm gonna actually fucking say their handles at Trevor S Dempster.
You do it.
Who was talking to the Arsenal horse, our favourite ITK. He said Khedira is done pending registration and announcement. That was on the 1st of August. Then you got some twat called DC at Dean LDN22, who's actually talking to our poor old Geoff, who's actually stayed out of it this year, but. He's saying beat Besiktas and Wenger will pull 2 big ones out of his magic hat. I mean, they've also got Stan Collymore, bloody 30th of July. Gooners, haven't forgotten you. Khedira, still 100% on. Whatever anyone else tells you, you lying fucker. So, IGAFC, Manolis is close to joining, £7 million fee. That was the 12th of August. Oh, and this is a classic. Some Russian fucker, Mario Ampov at MM.
Oh, he's leaving, isn't he? Bless him.
Is
Regarding
that the teenager guy?
Yeah. He's quit.
Is he a kid? I mean, maybe they're all kids.
Turns out to be.
Vegas comments on our business left. I reckon we'll get the centre back and DM between the 15th and deadline day, just like Arsene Wenger said. Well, it's deadline day, mate. So in about 3.5 hours' time, I'm going to be on your timeline abusing you. Basically.
Didn't you find out last night, Bex, that bloke who he is or where he's from?
No, it wasn't me. Someone said that he was a teenager, though.
A 17-year-old from Uzbekistan or somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh dear. How about Opinion Dan, Raj? Is he any good?
He's been very quiet, but Giles ITK, one of the legends.
The one who put an hour ago that Welbeck is done.
Yeah, he said the 30th of July, big turning point in Khedira's transfer today. His camp conceded many points and very much game on. Decisive day. #Khedira. And then he got some Ponce replying to him, thanks for the update, Dan, you wanker. Stop it, please, for fuck's sake. Honestly, thanks for the update.
Agent Jim?
Agent Jim's been pretty quiet. He got a bit of a roasting from me, and he's blocked me now, so I can't see any of his stuff. And a lot of these older guys have blocked me now. So
Kris,
you've made it as an in the know when you have followers called.
I am famous. Once I've been blocked, then I know it's worked. So there hasn't been as many as like the last 2 years because we had a proper purge last year. But
that kid's from Slovenia. Kris has just put. He's a 17-year-old from Slovenia.
Did I also see the rebirth of Wayne Gooney 10 as well?
Wayne
one of your friends, I understand.
I haven't seen him. I saw some Vasey guy as well.
He's about. I trust you. He's about because he tweeted me and I told him to fuck off.
No, I think he got a pasting from about 10,000 different people last year, so he stayed quiet. But I just don't understand why people believe this stuff. I mean, it's just this Arsenal horse. He actually thinks he's a serious kind of transfer pundit. I mean,
this is how much
bollocks.
Opinion Dan likes Arsenal.
A lot of it's smoke and mirrors, and a lot of it's kind of innuendo. So it can mean anything. And then when something happens, you can go, "Well, there you go. There's that tweet which meant that it was going to happen." It's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks.
I'm going to tweet in a minute. Breaking news: Danny Welbeck's just had a big poo.
This Opinion Dan has tweeted 8 hours ago, trying to get more news from ITK Giles, who is currently at London Colney. More to come later. His next tweet: Arsenal fans, you moan, you can fuck off. Alexis, Debuchy, Chambers, plus Ospina. Yeah, terrible summer transfers, eh? So there you go. He obviously knows his stuff. But did you any of you read that? Because Kris is listening there. Hello, Kris. He's put 7:28 p.m. Sky. We have now learned that Danny Welbeck doesn't even exist. It was simply an invention of Sir Alex Ferguson, who was so forceful that we all just believed him.
Go on, Kris. If you're listening to this, jump on. Is he there?
He is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hiya. I just have to say I can't take any credit for that. That was the work of Arsblog, so I'll give him credit where it's due.
Hey. Oh, I can't help but feel this transfer window has somehow been a bit of a failure all round.
It's been whatever shape you want to give it. It's been an absolute disaster.
Yes. You've got to be careful. There's still 4 hours left, and the child in me still thinks that there'll be a boy's own story at 11:59, and we'll pull out something amazing. But I can't think of anyone that we could pull out like we did with Ozil last year. There isn't anyone left, is there? I mean,
Marco Reus.
Just go get him.
But
it's too late.
Guys,
but
there's more chance of Stan Kroenke pulling his dick out in front of the Emirates. Let's be honest.
Not again. They had to shut Highbury because last time he did that.
Yeah,
How about this one from Indicalia? This was 5 minutes ago. Manchester United shouldn't sell Danny Welbeck. His tactical play is superb. Only few would notice. Not every player can be world class at Man United. That got 129 retweets. I didn't know 129 retards could use the internet.
Can I just say his tactical play against MK Dons was absolutely fucking superb. The boy was on fire that evening. As you can tell, 4-0.
Danny, kick ball.
This is another one. He's put. He's retweeted something from transfer sources. Falcao, Rooney, Van Persie, 866,000 a week. Then he's put Messi, Ronaldo, Bale, 850,000 a week. Well, I don't know which one of those two I'd want. Fucking hell, what a moron!
The guy is a specialist in selling chicken wings, mega buckets, corn on the cobs.
And if you're presenting Sky Sports, could you stop saying Falco? It's not Mark Falco, it's Falcao. It's got an A at the end of it.
Isn't he driving a taxi?
I hate it when people pronounce foreign players' names wrong.
Mercedes one.
Is he? Oh, nice.
Anyway, how is Sagna getting on?
He doesn't like the selfies, does he?
No, not a fan. I don't believe.
No. That's cheered me up anyway.
Come on, Gim, point this in some kind of direction. We're all flaying
really,
at the edges.
To be honest with you, I'm sat here. I don't know what direction I want to go. Like I said to you at the end of the last
Ask
one.
people what they want. That's where we go. Now, you ask them what two players would we like and what do they think we're going to get. That's always a fan's favourite.
No, I'm going to wrap this up now because I'm going to go down B&Q, buy a stud detector so I can hang myself from the beams in the house. But I feel before we go, I should ask you guys on here which two players you would like to see in before the window closes in 3.5, 4 hours time. Raj, we'll start with you.
Did you see how depressed he sounded towards the end of doing that?
What was that? What am I asking?
Just two players, just not like Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, but just
two players that I'd take now. Well, we've got to get a striker. There's no way in the world we've got to get a striker that is better. Well, I suppose anyone could be better than Sonogo, but you know what I mean. Nastasic from City as a centre back, as a cover, will be good, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to covet Carvalho because I've been going on about it since April, but we're not going to get him. So, and are we going to get any players tonight? Probably not.
Wonderful. Really, a lot of positivity in the tea cakes there. Over to Jason.
What?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Put the roll hypno down and answer the question. What two players would you like us to see us sign?
Any two.
And he's using roll hypno on himself. That's how depressed he is.
just two players, please.
Any.
I'm not being.
Park is on a free.
I take Andy fucking Carroll right now.
Oh, how dare you!
And honestly, it's ridiculous. I'd like Schneiderlin and I don't know Bonnie, but there's no way we're going to get him.
Bonnie's not going. I saw.
Oh, I told you that. I told you that last night. He's not going anywhere. But who are we going to sign? There's nobody there.
Ghostbusters.
All fucking summer.
It's Boney. He's Welsh. English is a second language to him.
Is that Clyde's mate?
And are we going to sign anyone, Mr. Davis? Not Davies.
Sorry, I've lived in Hope all summer. I'm done now. I'm done. That's it.
I like Carvalho, and rumours are we're standing off on 2 million at the moment. So I'm hopeful. I've got this glimmer of hope that we might be able to force it through at the last hour. If not, I would love Lars Bender as well. But I can't get Marco Reus out of my head. I think he'd be absolutely perfect, and I just think give him 45 million. Give him something they can't turn down.
It's a no-go.
No, very true. And from a bender to another bender, Danny, has your thoughts changed?
Oh, you leave Lars out of this. I'd have Lars or his brother. What if you signed the pair of them?
Lars and Sven.
Yeah, I'd have them both.
They're both decent.
Yeah, they are both decent, and they both could come to England, and we'll treat them right over here. We wouldn't make them wear. Actually, we would make them wear yellow. One of them would like it, the other one wouldn't. I don't know. I just, makes you think. What are we going to do? I mean, I'm going to have to resort to Indicalia to try and cheer myself up, thinking that we're going to sign Messi within the hour on a free.
Right. I've got to go down B&Q then, fellas. Ladies.
Keep the receipts though, wouldn't you?
Well, I don't think it'll matter much. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland Deadline Day special, part 3.
Or if
Thank
you're
you
in
very much for
France,
listening.
toi.
And take some happy pills,
toi.
please.
Oh, go to
dry.
hell. Happy bills. Stick them up the arse.
They might work better that way.
Put the Valium down, Jace. Put the Valium down.
Danny, I told you not to put 2 Welshmen on the same podcast. It just ruins it all.
Oh, fuck off. He likes being Welsh. I only fucking live here. Shit up.
You sound Welsh, though.
I don't sound Welsh.
He does, he fits right in.
You're as bad as fucking Steve because you know it winds me up.
No, you sound like Richard Burton half the time.
I do fucking not.
Richard Burton!
Alright, Rodri, fuck off.
It wasn't the last time someone accused you of being Welsh. You said to Jason, I don't sound Welsh, do I? Oh, do I do?
Oh, dear.
Are we done here? Because I've got a delivery to make.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast, part 4 Deadline Day special. Still surprised I've not fucked that one up yet. I'm Gimli, and tonight I will be joined by, first up, he's fat and hairy, it's Danny.
Don't start on me, I've got a pot noodle to be eating and I'm doing this shit instead.
When you tell, the longer this shit goes on, the less we care.
Barnet at top of the conference though, get in.
Are they? Wonderful. Next up, many words can be used for this man, but I shall simply go with Carpenter out. Hello, Kris.
Hello, Gimli.
Just before we start, what was the score at the weekend?
No one cares. Move on.
Fantastic. Next up, it's the host of the Gooner Girls podcast and my other half, it's Gooner Girl Kate. Hello, my darling.
Hello.
If you've got any swear words for me, if you just want to get them out now.
No, I'll save it for the pod.
So you've seen him naked?
Only with the lights off.
Several times. I have to say, last time we did it, dog licked my bum.
Oh, God.
And my feet.
Oh.
Which was first, though?
It was the feet first.
And then,
oh, poorly dog.
I digress. He's short, he's round, he bounces on the ground, it is poor Swain.
Evening, Gimli. I'm not sure what I've let myself in for after that conversation.
I feel bad for being so rude to you and we've never spoke.
That's fine. I'm used to it.
For the purposes of comedy, I think we'll both see past it.
No problem.
And finally, AFTV background assassin, it's Sadia. Hello, Sadia.
Hi.
And how the devil are you on this wonderful Monday evening?
I'm fine, thank you.
That's brilliant. Right, so where did we start
Before
then?
we get going, can I just point out to people that I have been on Skype talking to everybody since 1 o'clock. I haven't got off yet. Oh, have I? No, since the 3 o'clock pod, Dom is in the background, Jason is in the background, and Thomas is still in the background. We've all been talking since 3 o'clock, so that's, what's that, 6 hours?
Danny, when you say you haven't got off yet, you do realise this isn't some sort of sordid sex.
Don't you bring me down to your level.
Sorry.
You're just picking up tag-alongers as we go along.
But Thomas, Jason, and Dom are all in the background, but they're muted. But they're waving. I can hear them waving. Hiya!
I thought the same as you, but I was too polite to say.
Yeah, well, yeah. I had to lower the tone, didn't I?
Go on in, Gim. I'll shut up now.
Okay, I think we should start with the news that Danny Welbeck might well be official for an undisclosed fee, probably around 16 million. And I think it probably sums up our transfer window. Kris, I don't know what else I can say. Please help me out.
I'm not sure I can add much.
He's an England international.
Oh, whoopee fucking do.
It's another one we got. One more we can support when England play.
He's an England international, but can I just remind you, so once was Michael Ricketts and so was Francis Jeffers. So
Franny.
So let's not go there. I think I'll try and polish a turd. I mean, if it is 18 or 16 to 18 million, then my God. I mean, I was talking to Dom earlier on, and we both said we don't think it's any coincidence that the England team have been training on Arsenal's training pitch today, and they were probably sat there and they probably just looked at the England squad, had a word with Roy, and went, Roy, do you mind if we just nip in and just ask if any of your lads play striker? because it does seem a little bit like that. It seems like a rush deal. It seems like, I mean, 24 hours ago he was going to be a Spurs player. Now all of a sudden, we're desperate. We've got no other options, and up pops Danny, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it's just like, I just don't see what I mean.
Manchester United, born and raised.
I mean, it's a body, it's pace, but what worries me is we're not signing him as a centre forward, are we? He'll play on the wing. I mean, do we need more? Oh, I mean, DM. Well, I don't know. All I will say, the only positive, being serious, the only positive I'll put on it is if he comes in and we still, please get at least the DM as well, I'll say, all right, I can live with it. But if he's the only one that comes in, well, I mean, words fail me.
And Kate, you're quite vocal on the girls' podcast.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. What do you make of Danny Welbeck? Because I know you've been critical, I think is the word I will say.
Can I make anything out of Danny Welbeck? Like a sausage roll or something?
I don't know.
Well, there's surely better options out there than Danny Welbeck. But QPR failed to agree terms with Liverpool over Fabio Barini. Can't we go for Barini? I'd rather have Barini than Welbeck.
Oh, he's shit, though.
But so's Danny Welbeck.
Who scouted Welbeck? A pooper scoop?
No, but seriously, Samuel Eto'o.
That's a good suggestion. I mean, Paul, would Samuel Eto'o have been a better alternative for you?
I don't think so. I think he's past it now, Eto'o. But to leave it this late, we've only got ourselves to blame to be left with options like Welbeck. To be honest, and if we're paying that much for him, it's just crazy. Especially when we won't pay an extra $5 million to get William Carvalho, if that's true as well. It's just sums our transfer window up, to be honest.
And Sadia, for £18 million, how many of those pounds have been wasted on Danny Welbeck?
Probably every single one, to be honest. I mean, it just goes to show we just didn't have a plan to even sign a striker. It's been like because Giroud got injured, I feel like it's just been forced to. And just like the other fellow was saying before, like, he's been training at our training ground, and we didn't even go that far. And it's just like a last minute deal, rushing, a bit of a trolley dash. And it doesn't do Wenger any favours either when there's like pictures coming up and people saying that he's in Rome, like refereeing a game. Like, you can't even make it up, can you really?
No,
I think rush deal.
From my point of view, from sitting here and watching it for most of the day, everybody said there's no chance we're going to get a striker. The main positions we're going to strengthen are central defence and defensive midfield. Now, we're sat here at 9:20 on transfer deadline day, and he's signed a striker, but he's not signed a defensive midfielder. How naive is that, Kris?
Well, I mean, sorry, I was just trying to put my teeth back in. Choking on my Danny Welbeck. I mean, it is naive, and it almost reeks of arrogance, to be honest. I mean, I'm like Jason. I've been 100% in the Wenger camp, and I'll probably stay there because I still think people have to respect the huge amount of work that he's done for this club. But how many more windows is this going to go on for? How many more times are we going to sit here in August and January and just say, oh, well, we nearly did the business. We nearly got this player. Well, we kind of got this player, but we didn't really need... I mean, even when we brought in Ozil, however good a player he is, and clearly he's good, did we actually need him when we bought him? I seem to remember we needed a defensive midfielder then. And it's almost like it's almost like an ongoing joke. It's like, well, Arsenal needs a defender, so let's go get a striker. And I mean, Man United seem to be doing quite well at this job as well, of buying strikers instead of defenders. But that's probably the one. If you look at the business done today, the Falcao one, it seemingly is the one that seems to have got away. And when you sit there and you say, okay, well, Arsenal brought in a striker, but they still haven't brought in a defensive midfielder. I mean, it just baffles me. The Carvalho deal still seems to be bubbling under the surface. There was talk earlier on that they could agree a fee, 16 million quid plus Joel Campbell. Apparently, was the latest rumour.
We can't do that now, Kris, because the Portuguese window's shut.
Apparently
so. They can't buy players.
Apparently so, but there's talk that he could still go on loan, which is how they're trying to get around it. And then obviously they would buy him. But again, even with the Carvalho deal, how long have we been talking about that deal for? Why is this being left until the very last minute again? And okay, I understand prices are what they are, but Sporting Lisbon have pretty much said the whole summer that their fee is 24 million euros, and they won't let them go for a penny under it. So why not go at the start of August and say, right, that's what you want, here's the money, see you later.
Surely you've got to imagine if they're willing to stump up, and it is only speculation that it's 18 million pounds, but I would rather pay another 6 million and have a Carvalho in front of Welbeck. And I know we've sat here all day and we've gone, sign a bloody striker, sign a striker. But it really does seem like the club haven't got a clue. Would you agree with that, Kate?
Yeah. Is there an Arsenal fan out there that wouldn't? But we've been known that we need a striker for so long, and there was talk of Balotelli. What happened to the Balotelli deal? And that would have been, let's be fair, an improvement on Sonogo, an improvement on Danny Welbeck, an improvement on Joel Campbell. Why doesn't Arsene Wenger like Joel Campbell? What was the point in buying him, sending him out on loan so he got enough playing time to get his work permit, to then send him out or sell him again when he's actually allowed to play for us?
It doesn't really make a lot of sense at all. I think you get this impression as an Arsenal fan that he has absolutely no faith in Joel Campbell whatsoever. Paul, where do you think today is, as in how detrimental is it to where we finish this season? Do you think that not signing a defensive midfielder if one doesn't come in is going to have a massive effect on where we finish in the league?
I think it's huge, yeah. At the start of the transfer window, I would have said that's the most important position we had to fill after getting thrashed in all the big games last season. And we started the transfer window really well. We brought the 4 players in, replaced what we lost, added Alexis, and then we've done bugger all since. And now we're left with no defensive midfielder, and we've got 6 first-team defenders, which is madness, absolute madness.
You always got to sit here at disbelief if Arsene Wenger sat here and he's thinking that's enough for us to win a league. Because as David Hillier said for us this morning, if you drop points in 3 Premier League games, you're almost guaranteed of kissing away the title. And look how we started the season, Sadia. It's not looking good, is it?
It's not, no, but I feel like it's not been that bad, really. I mean, we've not lost a game yet. But, I don't know what to say, really.
No, it's I think it's a very, very difficult one. It's a very bitter pill to swallow when you're promised the world and you get Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, we've got. Sorry.
No, go on, Sadia.
Yeah, no, we signed Sanchez and it was looking good in the beginning. And honestly, everyone was thinking, this is actually looking good. We've started off a summer transfer quite well. And, like you said, it's ended up with Danny Welbeck. We needed to strengthen in both of those positions, really, a defensive midfielder and a proven world-class striker, which, Danny Welbeck hasn't really been doing much, really, has he, lately?
No. And Kris, I know you wanted to come in on this.
Yeah, just 2 brief points really. One is Jason reminded me just on the scope chat there, we have got Bellerin, but if you look at the official Arsenal website, Bellerin's not even registered as a first team player, and I know Danny said that's probably because he's an under 21 player, but if he's not even being acknowledged as a first team player, and also he's a right back, we should be having 2 backup centre backs. Lauren Koscielny went off yesterday with a head injury. Concussions can be very serious. I'm not saying obviously if he didn't get a concussion, fine, but let's just say he did, and he was missing for 6 to 8 weeks. That leaves us with an inexperienced 19-year-old who, albeit is hugely promising, and a German international who's just been off the back of a 60-game season. You've got to have, like Swainy said, you've got to have a sense of perspective. We're not down the bottom end of the league. I'd rather be in our position than Man United's, truth be told. But you can't go into a season constantly thinking, well, if that happens, we can play this player out of position, we can play that player out of position. That should be sort of the very worst case scenario. And all we really have done in the summer, all we've added is Alexis. Granted, a hugely talented player to add. But all we've really done then is replace the goalkeeper that's left, replace the right back that's left, and replace the centre back that's left. And you've got to add. Manchester City are not sitting there going, well, how on earth do we keep Vincent Kompany happy and Nastasic happy and Fernando happy? And they stockpile these players because they know they're going to need them. And if they don't get the games, they move them on. Look at Negredo. They've only had him for 12 months?
Yeah,
and they're flogging him off because they know that they don't actually need him now because Jovetic has finally got fit. it's a business. These players come and go, but I would rather have too many players than be sat here as we have been for the past seemingly 5 years now with not enough.
And I think you've also got to say as well, money in the bank doesn't guarantee you titles, does it? It doesn't win you titles. Danny, we're going to go over to you now. We understand you have a little ditty.
Well, I was just trying to think of some kind of analogy with Wenger and transfers, and the only one I can come to think of is it's a little bit like your nan sorting out the Christmas presents when she knows that your mum and dad have gone and got you a PlayStation 4, and she goes down the shop, she knows you like football games, she sees FIFA 15 and goes, I ain't going to get you FIFA 15, FIFA 96 is so much cheaper, so on Christmas Day you get FIFA 96 on the PlayStation 1, then she goes and gets you Call of Duty 2 on the PlayStation 3 because that was cheap as well, and all along they're not going to be any use to you because they're not as good as what you've got, and they're not going to work with what you've got, and it's not what you want. But they were cheap, and so there you go. Job done. Put up with it. Don't trust them. It's just absolutely useless, and I'm furious because my pot noodle's gone all down my top.
Did you dribble it down your chin and onto your boobs?
How dare you? Nowhere near my chin.
Control yourselves. Also, the Welbeck deal, I see Sky Sports just reported a moment ago. I mean, take that with a pinch of salt. But apparently, their reporter, who's now moved inside to avoid all the people outside, I've noticed, he's just said that
dildos for everybody.
Apparently, the Welbeck deal could go very. The quote is, "It could go very late if it's to happen at all." Which suggests to me that even now that could still fall through.
Are you watching Sky Sports News at the moment, Chris?
I am, yeah.
I was going to say, don't Kenny Sampson look well? And then I realised that's not Kenny Sampson, is it?
No,
it's Rennie Mullenstein.
It's Mullenstein, or whatever his name is.
I really did think it was Kenny Sampson. I thought you're looking really, really well.
Am I watching a different Sky Sports News to the rest of you?
It's some Scottish bloke sat on a sofa.
No, that's what I'm watching.
Yeah, and that bloke there in the blue tie thought it was Kenny Sampson, but it's not.
I'm watching a turtle have a poo.
Oh, God, turtle poos. It's the future.
Right then. So where do we go with this then?
Crazy.
For me and Danny that have been here for every single podcast, I think I've just had about as much moaning as is feasibly possible.
Well, we're going to use up lots of L's, aren't we? The club shop have got any spare L's.
Oh?
Yeah, and E's. And there's no umlauts in it, which is good. Because eggs are expensive.
It's depressing.
It is depressing. I'm trying to look at the bright side.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if I knew we didn't have such a good podcast lined up for 11 o'clock, I would have fucked off home already.
You are at home.
That's a good point.
What's everyone's opinion on Huntelaar?
Yes.
Brilliant. I would have loved him over Danny Welbeck.
Definitely.
If there's any truth in that, there was a rumour that went round German press earlier on that he could be available for 12.75 as his release clause.
Lovely stuff. I'd have taken that all day long.
He's only about 31, almost 32, something like that, isn't he?
He's 32, I think he is, yeah.
Wow, what a
player.
I mean,
he's maxed out and driven there and picked him up myself.
He'd do a job. There's also a lad in France who I touted last week because I've seen a lot of him and I think he'd be ideal if we can't get Carvalho. There's a lad at Lille called Rio Mavuba who is available for
no.
under 10 million quid. And he would do a job. I mean, he's a little bit Blaise Matuidi light, but
can he kick a ball? Is he what we want? If so, forget it.
Exactly.
Sounds like a bit of a cuss word for Danny, really. Danny, you gret Mavuba.
Oh, how dare you! That got me right where it hurts in the wallet.
In the wallet. So then, I nearly choked then. That's not good, is it?
Don't expect me to come running upstairs to save you.
That would have been a highlight after today.
Oh, it definitely would have done.
So has anyone else got any points they'd like to point out or make about this transfer deadline day being terrible? Anyone?
Just a complete shambles.
There you go.
There's not much you can say, really.
No. So it is an hour and a half left, and we still need a centre-back, a defensive midfielder, and a manager in this country.
But I think, Gimli, the most important question that we have failed to ask any of the people here, do you know what it is?
Is it what players they'd still like to sign in the hour?
More important than that.
Then go on.
Well, any of you at Anfield '89? If you weren't, then you're not worth talking to. Anybody here?
I was, yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off!
Could you go on about it for about 2 hours?
No, I don't know.
Leave Amanda alone.
I was on about Dave Hillier. Oh, you can't shut him up.
He was at Anfield '89.
Yeah.
Can't shut up about it.
Alan Smith, Ian Wright.
Poor old Mummy Pod.
Mickey Thomas. Oh, they never shut up the pigs.
Mama Pod.
You should ask that question that you just mentioned, though, Danny, because it would be interesting to get other people's views about who they would still sign.
Yeah,
if they
go on
had
then,
the
Gimli. You're in charge. Well, you're not because
No,
Kate's here.
seriously,
You're second in charge.
I've heard that Hillier's hashtagged himself the Anfield '89 Destroyer.
I think he was a youth player at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think he was just on the fringes.
I'd say I was watching one of those. Me and Kate were watching one of those Premier League Legends documentaries, and there Hillier was sat there as a wee young nipper in his little bobble hat. Oh,
Bless him.
Was he?
Lovely.
And I bet he doesn't remember a bloody thing about it.
He probably doesn't.
Oh dear.
Too busy nicking bags.
So, Swainy, you got 2 players. Exclude Welbeck for now. You're allowed 2. You're allowed 2 players.
I'm glad to see someone's taking this seriously.
You can't have Messi.
Yeah.
Who'd you get?
I would go for Nastasic at centre back, and I've been banging on about him all summer. William Carvalho, defensive midfielder.
Big Willie. Clever man. Already
Big Willie.
realised we got Danny Welbeck
Big
in
Willie.
the bag.
Free Big Willie. Sadia, who would you have?
I'd definitely go for Carvalho.
Yep.
And I know it's going to be really unrealistic, but someone like Cavani up front.
Oh,
if we supported Man United, that would be doable.
Just the thought is just, it's twitchingly good, isn't it? Just the thought.
Yes.
I think that the only thing I would say, just to put perspective on it, is there's been a lot of people, we've all seen them all over Twitter. There's a lot of angry people out there. There's a lot of people,
on here.
And on here, there's a lot of people that are, angry, abusive, frustrated, headhunting,
rude,
pitchfork lighting. There's a lot of different.
And that's just Jason.
And that's just Jason on a Saturday.
Davey's out.
There's a lot of people that have got very contrasting views, and let's just make it clear. I mean, we're not saying that we don't appreciate everything the manager's done, and I'm certainly not saying, "Oh, get him out, he's a disgrace."
I am.
But what we are saying, well, Danny is.
Yeah.
But what most of us are saying is that this can't keep going on for a man who's got so much intelligence, so much experience in the world game. This is a guy who watches more football in a week than I do, and that's an awful lot of football. And it just can't carry on. And you can't keep on saying to the fans, yes, we're active, we're extremely active, and then come out with Danny Welbeck. It doesn't make sense.
You say he watches more football in a week, but that's just him watching the 1998 FA Cup final going, I did
Over
that.
and over
That is
and
me. I did that. Look at me. I am great. I did
It's
that.
what I said to you guys earlier. He goes, I'll be active in the window. What, is that before or after you fucked off to Rome then? Twat.
I think that's a smokescreen, because if any good club, unless you're Harry, a lot of big clubs don't. You don't really hear from many managers on the deadline day until the window's shut and they've done the deals. Most of the deals are being done by the backroom staff. But somebody on the pod earlier on, I can't remember whether it's Dom or Jason or Thomas. Somebody said it. If surely these deals should have been put in place, and surely there should be a system where the manager says to Ivan Gazidis, whoever, and he gives them a list of players, and he goes, right, this is the top priority, this is the second priority, and if all else fails, third and fourth. And we should be working down that list. Why are we scratching around with an hour and a half to go going, oh shit, we haven't got anyone, let's just buy, oh fuck it, anyone will do. Because the fans will see through that. And if we go to Man City or play Man City in a fortnight's time, and we're on the end of something, well, Aston Villa like at the start of last season, there could be an awful lot of people very, very unhappy, and the boards, they want to flog season tickets. This ain't the way to do it, guys.
People have already paid for their season tickets. They've already got our money.
Yeah, this season. Yeah, this season they have, but there's going to be a lot more people drifting away over the periods of time goes on if this carries on. And and again, it's not like we're not having this sort of big club mentality of, oh, we're Arsenal, we should be buying. It's not about that. It's about the fact that we, as fans, we can all see our accounts. We know we've got money. We're just asking the club to actually spend what we've got. Nothing more.
And we've got it on good authority that this January, or when the new rise that is going to come in, is going to be, I think someone said, between 6 and 8% rise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I'd like to ask you one more question before we start to wrap this up then. And I will ask it individually to each of you, even Danny.
Oh, hello.
As the transfer window as it stands, with only possibly Danny Welbeck come in, where do you see us finishing in the league? Danny?
Well, I had said before Giroud got injured and we're looking like we were going to bring in a couple of players, I said we could win it. because it can be between us, Man City and Chelsea. But I think with Man United spunking money left, right and centre over anyone with a heartbeat and getting rid of all their shit players to teams that have got no bloody sense, I reckon we could be looking at 5th.
Fair
Because
enough.
we've lost half a season with no goals.
No, that's very true. Sadia?
I'm going to go for 4th again. That's what I feel that we're aiming for again because of the window and how it's gone and who we've signed.
The 4th place trophy. 4 players in, 4th in the money table, be 4th in the table. Ugh. Paul?
I'd have to say a battle for 4th again. I think Chelsea and Man City are ahead. I don't think Liverpool are as good as everyone's saying in the press they are, and I think it'll be between Liverpool, Arsenal, United, for 3rd and 4th probably, and unless we do miraculously add a couple of players.
Well, it's not going to happen. But...
No, it's not.
Kate?
4th. I don't think we can hope for anything else with the players we've brought in. The only player I could see worse to bring in instead of Danny Welbeck, and I've just flashed him up on the screen, Jermaine Defoe.
He was linked with us early this morning, wasn't he? And I was thinking, hell no, please.
He's an Arsenal fan, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
How about Darren Bent? Dig him up, another Arsenal fan.
At Aston Villa, he's at.
Oh.
Right, York. Did any of you watch
his son, Harvey.
Shut up! Don't be horrible to poor little Harvey. Did anyone see this morning when they were talking to what's his name? Phil Thompson. That was it. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, big
and
nose.
He said that it wouldn't surprise him if Man United had only bought Falcao because they knew that we were in the market for buying him, and they looked at us and thought, well, it's a difference between them buying Falcao and getting 4th place Champions League and us getting it. So they had him instead. That's what Phil Thompson said.
Well, he's an idiot because I don't think Falcao would work in our 4-5-1.
It's a beautiful segue, but I'll go slightly more positive, and I would say 3rd. But only.
Who asked you?
Oh, Kris.
Chris,
Put the drugs down. Put the drugs down, mate.
No, I genuinely think 3rd, and I'll tell you why.
You've been on that tainted crack again, haven't you?
Must be strong.
It's Jason delivered it this morning. It's I think people are being a little bit knee jerk in that we have still got a very good squad. The problem is it's always going to be about the injuries. But if we've got a fit and healthy squad, I still think we're comfortably the 3rd best team in the league. Just for the record, I think United will get Champions League football because I think they'll end up 4th. But I think we've got enough to be 3rd. My only sort of the thing I'm clutching to with all strings that I can is, or all straws that I can is a fit Theo Walcott. Because granted, I don't think anyone can expect Theo to be anywhere near his best until after Christmas. But if he comes after Christmas sort of ready, fit and raring to go, he could be the difference.
Even your cat don't agree with you.
That's not even my cat.
No, it's probably my cat.
That's even worse. Other people's cats are disagreeing with you.
Which one was that?
That was Cleo.
I'll fucking slap her on the face.
My cat, who's named Tommy after Thomas Vermaelen. So what does that say? Because
Kill
he's
it.
pissed off. But
Kill it.
He's just laying in the hallway looking at me as if to say, "You really think you're signing people? Fuck off."
And I'd just like to say those thoughts were that of Barbican Pirates manager Kris Carpenter. 3 games, 3 losses. Carpenter out.
Carpenter in.
Hermaphrodite cat, Chris.
Eh?
We've got a hermaphrodite cat.
Have you?
Yeah.
You told him.
Christ on a bike.
It's a boy with girl parts.
That is bizarre. I genuinely don't know what to say to that.
You don't hear that kind of shit on Sky Sports News.
Exactly. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland deadline day special.
Oh, hold on. Arsenal Manchester United agreed deal in principle for Danny Welbeck. Just come up on breaking on Sky.
I'm going to Gimli and I'm going to hang myself.
And I'm going to help him.
Good night.
Good night, my pretties.
Carpenter in.
Carpenter out.
Carpenter out.
Carpenter in.
Shake him all about. He does the okie dokie.
He turns around and fucks off.
Him off. And then they lose 6-0.
Oh,
Carpenter out. Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland transfer deadline day special part 5. Oh, God, I'm glad I still haven't fucked that one up. Right, joining me tonight, as always, are Danny,
Hello.
Thomas Munt, Dom, Jason, Jeff, Tim, Kris, Raj, and it's a pleasure to welcome back to the show one of the first members that ever came on this thing, Gav. Hello, Gav.
Hi.
Oh, I've missed you so much.
Right, I better get this shit going then. It seems that we've had a fairly quiet window. A lot of controversy on and off Twitter about our transfer dealings. Gav, you've been very, very
magnanimous.
Yes, but you've been very sceptical of Arsene Wenger and his transfer dealings so far. What have you made of today?
It's just a bit underwhelming, really. I mean, the transfer window started off with a huge bang, didn't it? And it sort of whimpered and died in the middle, and just sort of like an underwhelming, oh, is that it? Kind of thing at the end, really. I don't think it's been a successful transfer window at all. We haven't really, unless I've missed something in the last 10 seconds, I don't think we've got in the players that we need to challenge to win the title, really. I mean, Danny Welbeck, if that comes off and if it happens or whatever, then yeah, you know, he's better than Sanogo, but what we really need is somebody who's better than Giroud. You know, Danny Welbeck's not going to get 30 goals a season. Danny Welbeck's not going to win us the league, but he is better than Sanogo. So it's kind of...
Was a defensive midfielder a priority for you?
It would be for me, but it won't be for Wenger, because he don't like playing defensive midfielders, does he?
Well,
Do you know what I mean? He prefers box-to-box or... these attacking midfielders that he can play left midfield, right midfield, you know, play them up top. He likes a versatile midfielder, which is fair enough. That's how he sets up a team. But again, it's not the way you're going to win the league.
No. And Jeff, the words are very underwhelming. Is there anything that you can add to this?
I'm a little bit disappointed that like no doubt the rest of the boys, I think we could have gone a bit stronger. We could have maybe signed a powerful central midfield player. I'm not too concerned with the lads at the back. I've been having discussions on Twitter tonight and said that we've weakened the back four. I don't believe we have. I think we've strengthened the back four. You know my thoughts on Thomas Vermaelen. Midfield, maybe we could have got, like I said, we could have got a central midfield player and a combative central midfield player that could do the job of defending as well as attacking. But you know what, we've got a lot of midfield players. Hopefully Jack, who's shown a lot of promise in his last game, is maybe creeping back to form now. And if he is creeping back to form, then maybe he could do that job for us anyway. Up front, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed, I shall say, because we hadn't replaced a centre forward, and that was only because, pardon me, obviously the injury to Ollie Giroud. But if we do get Welbeck, that's made me feel a bit better. I've got to be honest with you, because at least we have a natural striker. I think he was played out of position at Manchester United. He's got good technique. He's strong. He's got great energy. He's got plenty of pace, and he can score a goal. So, and he's very young. See what happens after. It's not the best, but we can have a go.
You change your mind, don't you?
No, certainly not, Tim. Certainly not. So I know you booked him before.
When I was last on this podcast and suggested that he would have been a great take at the time of Robin van Persie and that he was an available striker surplus at Manchester United, you've been rubbishing me ever since as a bloke who would waste money and doesn't know what you're talking about. And you've been very dismissive about Welbeck. I'm glad to see that you're now getting behind him.
No. The point was at the time, Tim, if you can recall, I know your memory's not that good, but if you can recall, I'll help you anyway. At the time, I'm looking for a striker that's going to be a little bit above Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck's is full of promise, and the circumstances that we're in at the moment, and we was in a couple of hours ago, I was thinking, shit, you know what I mean? We could be in a bit of pawn here because we haven't got a natural centre forward.
It's a panic buy, isn't it?
Well,
panic buy.
Yeah, I would say it is a panic buy, but you know what?
It's not, unless I'm under the understanding that unless the Falco deal goes through, then it's not going to happen anyway. But like I say, I think the major point really that is getting sort of skimmed over. You sort of skimmed over it earlier. I mean, yes, you know, our starting back four is probably better than the starting back four last year, but we're one or two injuries away from an absolute disaster, from having fucking Monreal at centre back.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's too bad.
or that young right back, whatever his name is, coming in. And Chambers, as much as everybody's blowing smoke up the young kid's arse, he's 2 or 3 mistakes a game at the moment, and he's going to be because that's his age, and he's still learning the position. Defensively, we could come right unstuck. Do you know what I mean? We could get hammered 6 or 7 at some point this year by a team that knows what they're doing.
Well, that's just maybe because of the way we play, and I mean, what you're talking about there is if we get these injuries, of course. Well, any team can get injuries, though.
Every team's going to get injuries, mate. So you've got to actually, you've got to prepare a squad, to get away with injuries. I mean, I got laughed at last year by saying we was lucky the injuries was in midfield, where we've got the most players, and we was lucky that Giroud never got injured. Now Giroud's injured. We've sold all of our backup with regards to the defence. We could be, like I say, I mean, centre backs get red cards, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's part of their fucking job. They're going to get a red card. They're going to get bookings. It's we could come proper unstuck at some point. Do you know what I mean? I even dread the game that we could potentially have both the German and Koscielny out at the same time. Who are we going to fucking play in defence then? Is Steve Bold going to come back?
Well, you say that, but that's going to be really, really unfortunate, and I don't think that's going to happen.
It's going to happen, mate. At some point, both of them will either be injured or suspended at the same time. It's bound to happen.
Then I mean, you got to look at Mathieu Debuchy. He's very, very experienced. He's good in the air. He's good in the air. He's got plenty of pace. He's been in the game a long while. There's no reason why he can't slip in straight in there at centre back just to cover. And people cope Monreal, right? But to be honest with you, I like him. I think he's doing all right at the moment, mate.
I mean, a run of games, he's only going to improve. Do you know what I mean? But the point is, say that happens against the games against Chelsea or Man City, or happens in one of the big Champions League games. Look, we're going into it with Monreal and bloody Debuchy at centre back. We're going to get our fucking arses handed to us, mate.
Yeah, but
you're putting them players in. And it seems like it's Wenger's favourite fucking trick, mate. He sees a round hole in the ground and he goes out and buys a fucking square peg. It ain't right. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
You could also say, why is he going out and buying Mathieu Debuchy at a right back with the intention of playing him at a centre back? If that's the case, why can't we for once buy a player as that position and play him in that position? It seems awful pie in the skies for me.
Well, I think he has done with Chambers. I think he's going to play him as a central defender, and that's what he purchased him for.
But did he not purchase him as a right back? As like a backup right back? I thought that's what we were all led to believe at the time, Geoff.
Well, no, he's a versatile player. He can play at right back. He's played most of his football at right back, but I think he's been noted in the press that he sees him as a centre half, and maybe even in some games pushing him into central midfield as a defensive midfield player. But see,
again, that proves it, though, doesn't it? Really, because we've bought a player that can fall right back as a backup right back. We're already playing him centre back, and our fans are already saying we can play him defensive midfielder. Buy the man to sit the position.
Stick him in fucking goal as well.
Yeah, exactly. Why not make him as versatile? In fact, fuck it, give him a run up front.
Well, you've got to give the lad a chance. You never know. He hasn't done too bad up to now. I mean, he's been getting all the plaudits. So, let's just hope he carries on in that fashion and he learns as he goes along. He hasn't done too bad. I understand your sentiment, what you're saying about in the big games. The City, United are not big anymore. City, Liverpool, Chelsea. It might be difficult in those games. But it's going to be a little bit unfortunate if we're out our 2 central defenders for those games. We're going to be really, really unfortunate. But you never know. He might be able to go in there and do a job anyway. Let's just see what happens. We're all, it's all hypothetical.
For those listening, that wasn't me slating Chambers, because I think he's done fantastically since he's come in. However, we could be getting to the age where he's 22, 23 years old, and he hasn't got a clue what his best position is because we fucked him about so much.
I don't like to worry about stuff before it's happened, to be honest with you. Let's see what occurs at the time.
Tim, I'd like to hear a little bit more from you, please, because I understand we've only got you for a limited time tonight. You've heard what Geoff said. Is there anything you'd like to counteract that with?
I think he's being a little bit optimistic about the defensive situation. I mean, 6 senior defenders covering 4 positions is just too skinny, and I think we were extra risk in the defensive positions because Pear and Koscielny played so much over the last kind of 24 months, including the World Cup, and they're going to need resting, and they'll probably pick up injuries this year just because almost for sod's law they didn't have them last year, but also just because they'll be in the red more often. And I'm amazed. He did say when Vermaelen went that he would replace him, didn't he? And I think selling Vermaelen was great business. 15 million for a player I wasn't convinced by and seemed to struggle, particularly picking up the rhythm when he occasionally played. But don't then not replace him. Now, Chambers looks great, but he's supposed to be covering right back and the centre back positions. People keep telling me Bellerin looks great. Well, I don't know where they've seen him looking great because I don't remember him playing many Premier League or Champions League games, if at all, which is where it counts. And I think we'll get found out in defence. But looking at the window overall, I think probably agree roughly with Gav. It's a kind of standstill window, isn't it? I feel we've got a squad that will be capable of taking us third or fourth. I've got a funny feeling we'll do a good Champions League run this year. I think partly because I think players like Ozil and Sanchez are more suited to a Champions League run rather than the rough and tough of the Premier League over 38 games. But the final bit I want to come back to, I know, a couple of you guys nearly fell off the chair when I mentioned Welbeck at 4 o'clock. And we're kind of getting a lot more our heads around that. But Geoff, you really are very cheeky. You go and look at what you tweeted at me in February after that conversation. You talk about spunking 30 million on Welbeck and what a waste that would be, and my reckless picking of strikers and all of this. And now your precious Arsene Wenger has listened to my advice and signed Welbeck. Well, it's good that we're on the same side anyway, isn't it, Geoff? You've come round to my point of view. Top man.
60. Hold on a minute.
That's waiting a long time just to fucking claim your point, isn't it?
Now, 1 minute. It's not all over yet, though. 30 million pound on Danny Welbeck will be spunking money. Don't worry about that.
Said that. I said
16 mil.
Geoff, what I said at the time was where I felt we'd really booed was Manchester United were desperate to take Van Persie off us, and we had a desperate striker need at the time, and we should have taken one of Welbeck or Hernandez because they were a lot better than Bentner and then Park, who we ended up with. We'd have actually got him for about 4 million then, because he'd have been almost thrown in to make the deal happen. And that was the point I was making back then. Anyway, time's passed. I think Welbeck, it is a panic, but I think given it's a panic, it's a good one. It's as good as they could have done. Young, English, keen to prove himself, integrate with some of the other lads we've got from the England team. It could have been a lot worse. It really could. And I think
20 goals in 90 Man United games.
Whatever you say,
I'll just leave you with that.
He's been played on the wide all the time.
Well, Wenger will play him left back. It don't really matter where he fucking played, does it? Do you know what I mean? Wenger will put him in a fucking different place anyway. But like I say, it's 20 goals in 90 games, and that's what we've bought.
You're killing him before he's even started, Gary.
No, not at all, mate. I'm just telling you what we bought. Do you know what I mean? When it comes down to it and they cross that line, I fucking hope every player gets a fucking hat-trick and we win 33-0.
Why were you so against him recently, Geoff? What didn't you like and what do you like now?
I didn't not like him at all. I quite like Danny Welbeck, always have done, okay? But I don't think he is that particular striker that we need right now. I think we need a striker in that £50 million bracket that is an absolute certainty to get you 25 goals a season.
Yeah, damn right.
That's what I'm thinking. But now we've come to the situation where it's lastminute.com. We're struggling for a striker. I think he's a fucking good option, mate. I've got to be honest with you. He's a good option. He's a good option. And you never know. He might turn him into a player because he's going to give him that. He wanted to go to a top club. He thinks he's worthy of a top club. He's now come to a top club. He wants to prove Manchester United wrong. He wants to get in the England squad. I think he'll get plenty of game time now. There's no doubt about that. He might go straight in, So let's see what he can do. He's got good, like I said, he's got good technique. He's got plenty of pace about him. Gives us a different option. We didn't have that option last year where we could play someone in behind and now chase after it. This lad, he'll run for toffee, mate. Don't worry about that. So let's give him a chance.
The most gutted man tonight, Lucas Podolski. He's not going to play at all, is he?
No, I don't think so. He won't play up top. I don't think he's good enough to play up top. I mean, I always had my doubts about Lucas Podolski even before we signed him.
I think it's a shame we didn't manage to move him on this window because that's quite a big wages saving and he's just going to sit around. But still, he can probably, let's make him social media director maybe. Give him another job at the club.
I believed if we could have done the Welbeck business or recruited a centre forward with a week or so to go, then I think maybe
he would have done. You're right.
He would have gone, but it's all last minute, and it might be too late now, of course, but we'll have to see.
Let me ask you a question to you three of you. Tim just said that we've got a squad that can get third or fourth. I mean, is third or fourth just the height of our ambitions now? Is that it?
I don't even think we've got a team capable of third or fourth. If I'm being honest.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because I know it sounds daft, and I know you're going to laugh your tits off, but when Man United click, they've an half got some players, and they've spent the money on them. Do you know what I mean? But they've an half got a forward line, Man United, so I don't think it's going to be that easy finishing above them. And I just don't think this team's gelling. I don't think Wenger's got the means of setting it up. And, completely with what I just said then, I mean, it's a complete lack of ambition what we've done here and what we've done in this transfer window. You need 2 decent players for every position on the pitch. And we've got 3 or 4 positions where we have not got cover.
Gav,
do you know what I mean? So it's just...
Gav, the best part of this window is we haven't lost any of our most valuable players, right? We've kept them all. It's the same squad. We've got Ozil and the other players now that have really got the gist of the Premiership. We've got some great signings that have come in. A potentially world-class player in Alexis. Chambers is very good. Debussy is a continuation of what we had with Sanya, but he's younger and stronger. Yeah, and better going forward. Right? We were 7 points off the top last year. Right? 7 points off the top, and we won the FA Cup. I know the other teams have strengthened, but they're the teams that are above us have strengthened. Liverpool have lost a massive player in Luis Suarez. I'm not sure that they're going to recover from that. I really don't. I'm not sure. They may do, but I'm not sure. I'm very positive about Arsenal this season.
But like I say, go back to the question. Our actions in this transfer window are not the actions of a team that is actually putting its marking down, saying, right, we're fed up with third or fourth. We're going to go for it this year. We're going to spend all the money that we've got available, and we're going to go for it. It's not about these ain't the actions that we've done. We ain't put down a marker. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's going to look at Arsenal and say, well, all right, more or less the same as last year.
I know, but that's why I always have a battle with Tim all the time. It's not about the money you spend. It's about the quality you bring in.
We haven't done either, though.
So, Geoff, hold on. Let's come back to these. If it's not about the money you spend, why haven't we won a title in 10 years? Is it because we've been outspent?
Well, of course, yeah, but we're never going to be able to outspend Man City or Chelsea.
So it is about the money you spend.
Yeah, but you're talking about the money that we spend. We can't spend the money that Man City spend, and Man United spend, and Chelsea spend. That's the reason why.
Why have we given them all the chance this season in the league? We've got between 40 and 60 million that we didn't spend that could have been spent. And we know money makes a difference because you've just told me it did. And I just think it's frustrating that we haven't used all of our, here comes the cliche, all of our firepower. That 3% ticket price increase was really needed, wasn't it, for that 2.6 billion it raises to sit in the bank yet again. And it's frustrating. We're so close. He puts together a great team with the budget he uses, but why not push on? Why not use that other money there? Bank accounts don't score goals and keep clean sheets.
No, I agree with your sentiment, and I'd rather he purchased another couple of players, that could take us on. But there's obviously a reason for that. I'm sure that he would if he could, but there's reasons he hasn't.
What are the reasons, though, Geoff? What are the reasons? There are no reasons. There's no excuses.
Well, are there really any centre forwards out there that he could purchase? Seriously,
the window's been open for 2.5 months.
Yeah, okay. Who could he have bought?
You could have bought a whole load.
Well, tell me. Oh, Balotelli is a toss-up with Balotelli. Honestly, I would rather have Welbeck than Balotelli because you never know what you're going to get out of Balotelli. At least with this Welbeck boy, he's not going to piss ball about and go in nightclubs and everything else and set his house on fire.
What we're going to get out of Welbeck is a score ratio of 10 goals a season.
No, you'd be surprised. Have a look at the stats.
He played 90 games for Man United, scored 20 goals.
No, have a look last season. the 90 minutes on the pitch that he played, right?
Right.
Taking away the penalties, Danny Welbeck was 4th in the list of scorers.
Right. How many goals did he score last year,
Well,
Jeff?
I don't know. But
So
it was 4th in the list of scorers, Matt. And I think
the point is, right, is we haven't replaced Van Persie, right? This has got to be, what is it, 4th, 5th, 6th transfer windows since
5 transfer windows.
5 transfer windows since we've got rid of Van Persie, right? He's been looking, and he must have been looking for a centre forward, a world class centre forward, because
he's trying to buy him.
Because but he's fouled, mate. That's the problem. He's fouled. Do you know what I mean? You don't. Years ago, we used to take the piss out of Tottenham because they were bragging that they put in a bid for somebody and it got rejected. Do you know what I mean? Now that's us, mate. Do you know what I mean? Every single decent centre forward that we've been linked with has gone elsewhere. And it's left us with a panic buy of Welbeck, mate.
Yeah, but would you seriously? I mean,
would I have had Balotelli? Yes, like a shot, mate. For all these problems and for the grief.
Is he that good though? Really? Is he that much better?
Yes.
Yeah, he's better. He's better than what we got.
Well, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
My opinion is he's better than Giroud.
But I think he's going to go better than that. That's what I'm saying to you. I think he's going to go and not have the aggravation.
How many transfer windows is it going to take before he goes better?
Well, it's the problem is it's what's out there. You know, is there someone out there that he purchases?
In the last 5 transfer windows, about 8 centre forwards that are better than what we've got have been transferred.
Well, they've all gone to bigger clubs that can pay more money than us. That's
but
the problem.
We're the Arsenal, mate. We're the Arsenal. We've got the money. And we're the Arsenal.
40 to 50 million pounds sitting there unused, and it was there last window. There's too much caution by him in the market, and I do think it's by him. The accounts show that the money's there. So unless the club have been deliberately holding it back, and I think most people now realise that that's not going on, we've seen that he's just incredibly cautious. Look at his comments yesterday. Money isn't always a solution. And he's partly right. You don't waste the money. That's really bad. But I think spending too much and wasting it is as bad as not spending it at all and sitting there watching it in the bank. Particularly as in football, the value of a player is going up faster than inflation. So what was 50 million in the bank last year bought you 2 world-class players. Now it only buys you 1. So while we sit there with our assets in cash rather than players, we're falling behind. Thomas Vermaelen's a good example of that. Sold him for more than we bought him. We'd be better off buying a couple of other players and letting the value sit in the asset. And it's why another reason why I'm positive about Danny Welbeck, because if he doesn't quite work for us, Danny Welbeck can be moved on to another English club for 15 million and get our money back.
But then you'd be screaming. But then you'd be screaming again, like you did 2 years ago about a dead wood, Tim. You know, he's taken them punts.
Not at that level, because he's in to do a job now. But if we want to go for the 40 to 45 million pound next star striker, you can move a Danny Welbeck on, and you will get a good value for him. And that's been far better than having sat there with 15 million pound in the bank, which actually is shrinking, is depreciating in terms of football value, because the value of players is going up and up. Look at Di Maria. 35 million pound would have been last summer, up to 60 million this year. Players are going up far more than the value of holding assets in the bank, and this is where the financially conservative, the financially restrained approach, which I think is driven by the manager, is holding us back. And I think the debate about what other striker would you have bought is wrong. What is going to cost us, I am sure, this season is this, we've been back to it, the lack of defensive players. And even if it had been a couple of just decent journeyman pros to cover centre-back position and, a big, solid lad to cover the defensive midfielder, it would have been better than shutting it with 40 million there and a position whereby if Chambers gets injured in the next week or two with a long-term injury, there's no senior backup at centre-back or right-back.
See, but we just sold a Belgian international who was club captain because he wasn't good enough, Tim. It's very difficult, mate. So what would you have kept him?
No, but what I'm saying is
that's my point. You don't know who you're buying. Are there any centre halves out there that are better than the ones that we have at the club?
Well, I think someone like I'd gone and looked at an Ashley Williams from Swansea.
Ron Vlaar.
Yeah, Ron Vlaar. And you're not necessarily expecting these people. It'd be better to have them in the squad, Jeff.
Tim, this is not FIFA, mate. They're not going to come to the club. We tried to buy Rangel 2 years ago, right? Rangel said, listen, I'm settled.
I'm a good deal. Of course they'll come.
They won't come. We offered a deal to Rangel. He didn't want to come because he wanted to play professional football. He knew when he was coming to Arsenal, he said, am I going to play? That's why Gustavo didn't come. Wenger sat down and said, "Listen, I'm not sure you're going to play all the games. You know, he was settled at Swansea. He didn't come. We didn't buy right back then. It's difficult to. Ashley Williams is playing. He's playing very, very good football at Swansea. Fair play to the lad, and Ron Vlaar as well. They're both getting on a bit now. They're not really going to. They're not at the time of their life right now to come and play sit on the bench for Arsenal. Maybe they want to play football. It ain't all about money.
But you look at the season when Man United won the league, 2012-13. In 27 Premier League games, Welbeck got 1 goal. All season, 2 goals in 40 games, and those goals came once against Stoke at home in the Premier League and once away at Real Madrid, and that's it.
How many times did he play up top though, Danny?
He played out wide a lot, but even out wide, if you're in a championship winning team and you play 27 of those games and you only score 1 goal,
it's 18 and 19.
But why would they? Yeah, but why would they let a player go if it's such a hot prospect?
Because he's got a lot of them big hitters in front of him, mate. He's just not going to get a game.
So this Man United team that we're going to finish above have sold us a player that's not going to get in their team, and he's at the moment going to be our star striker.
Well, you look at the firepower.
It just don't make fucking sense, mate. Does it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you look at the firepower that they have got, right? It does make sense that he's not really going to play much because just how much they've spent on them players. And it's natural that you are, after you've spent that 30 and 40 million pound and 65 million pound on Di Maria, you are going to play them. Well, Danny Welbeck is now sitting there thinking, "Fuck me, I've got all these big names in front of me. I'm not even going to get a look in." And he wanted to go. So, you can't blame the lad. And I think it might be, at the end of the day, it might be a little bit of shrewd business from Arsenal to go in there.
Well, I really, like I say, I really, really hope it is. Do you know what I mean? Really, really hope, and share your sentiments that he comes to us, he hits the ground running. He's got a good base of English lads around him that he knows from like the England squad and everything. But it's like a sideways step for us. Do you know what I mean? It really is.
It's better than not having him, though, Gav. Surely you admit that.
Yeah, well, of course it is. But I mean, like I say, the other choice is Sonogo.
Jeff,
which, like I say, I'd rather have you on a pitch than him, mate.
Jeff, do you worry that people like FK, you've in the WhatsApp group, you've heard poor old FK all day. He sounds like a drowned rat. Our very own Jason this morning was full of the joys of spring, and now Jason is a broken man. Do you feel yourself wavering from one side to the other because of yet again the promise of everything and got not what we needed?
I was pulling my hair out about 3 hours ago. Trust me. Don't take no notice of all that old bollocks. Believe me. I was thinking, what the fuck? How am I going to deal with this now? These half-wits on Twitter are killing me. Believe me, they've absolutely battered me all day long.
Jace, tell Uncle Jeff how you're feeling, Jace.
Sorry?
Tell Uncle Jeff how you're feeling.
I am royally pissed off. I got to be honest with you. I love Arsene Wenger, and for all Tim and Gav can go on, okay. No offence, boys. You haven't given me a fucking season unbeaten, okay? You haven't given me the doubles, You haven't given me a new stadium, so I still love Arsene Wenger. But he's had all summer. He's had all summer.
Jesus, you forgot about the FA Cup, Jace.
Hey, boys, I don't.
And the Charity Shield.
And the chicken balti pies.
And the Emirates Cup. Oh no, we didn't win that.
Bear with me a second, lads, okay? He's had all summer to get a centre-back in, to get a DM in, and to get a decent striker in. And he's done fuck all. And him and Gazidis, I can see Wenger being gone by Christmas.
Don't annoy him.
It's never going to happen.
Boys, you saw how toxic that stadium got last season after one game. If we have a bad run against City, and he carries on a couple of home losses, how's he going to survive?
Because he don't give a fuck. £8 million a year, that's how he survives, mate.
Sorry, Gav, that's bollocks, and you know that's bollocks. He gives a damn. He gives a damn, Gav, and you know it.
There's nothing that anybody could do that is actually going to... Arsene Wenger's the only one who's going to,
If you've got 60,000 people screaming at you, okay, and swearing and abusing you, you're not going to stick around for that, mate. I'm sorry.
He'll put on his poker face, won't he?
I'll tell you what, though. Fair play to the fella. He must be fucking fantastic at poker because he don't budge, does he? You've got to give him that. He don't budge, mate. He ain't going to take no notice of me, you, or Mr. Magoo. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he'll stick by it.
He'll be sitting there with 4 aces, mate, and he'll fold.
I
I mean,
fancy sitting there with a joint now, mate, to be honest.
No, that's just me.
Seriously, I mean, when Gorby's sitting there with 4 aces and somebody could put 100 quid in, and his arse will go. He'll start trembling and fold. Do you know what I mean? The idea of poker, right, is to win money off people. Do you know what I mean?
Gav, that's unfair. Come on. Listen, give the man a bit of credit, okay?
Okay,
I totally accept. I totally accept he screwed the poocher. I totally accept that. I cannot believe that anybody at that club has a bottle to show their face tomorrow. Because what's happened is disgraceful.
Well, he won't. He's in Italy, isn't he?
Yeah, I
He
think
can show his face tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Jeff, okay?
It's all right.
This is my opinion, okay?
Yeah,
He's had all summer, and today is a bloody disaster, okay?
You know-
No less, no more. It's a bloody disaster. But Gazidis, you cannot stand there in front of the world's press and say, new revenue streams, we're a super club, we've got £100 million war chest, and then deliver the bag of shit that they've delivered this week. You cannot do it, okay? It's a fucking disgrace, to be honest with you. But I will not call Arsene Wenger a name, simply because, okay, he's done more for this club than any of us have.
I'm sure Gav can.
Well, Gav can then, okay?
Oh no, I wouldn't. Like I say, I've got the ultimate respect for our manager. You know.
Esteemed leader.
Listen, I'll tell you what it is.
Oh, I have got respect for the fella. I mean, anyone who thinks I haven't got respect for Wenger, he's very, very wrong. I mean, obviously, I'm hoping, look, we can talk about him in a better light once the new manager comes in, but that's just how it is.
Do you still want him gone, Gav?
I still stick to my guns that we'd be in a better position if he had gone 3 years ago.
Yep.
So you still want him gone?
I do. I'd get rid of him tomorrow.
I don't want him gone. How else can I answer that, mate? He shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be in the job.
So you?
I mean,
but today,
today, if he
given a choice,
if he resigned tomorrow, I would. I don't know. I'll probably go and buy something white with a bit of bubbles in it. Might get a couple of strawberries.
What, cream soda again?
Get a bit of cream. Do you know what I mean? Might even treat myself to a nice bit of steak from the local butchers. Do you know what I mean?
A Piebury pie.
Yeah, exactly. Piebury pie. Do you get money every time you say Piebury pie?
I've never even been there.
Piebury pie, just in case.
Raj, you've been very quiet there, mate. What's your take on this situation? Because I do value your opinion. Well, what we've been talking about for the last half an hour.
Raj has trouble keeping up.
It's negligence, isn't it? It's just as simple as that, and it's year on, year out. I'm not even going to touch on the Ozil thing from last year, but everyone knows, the whole world knows, we're 2 players short. We're 2 players short. A great striker. I think we need a centre back more than anything else, and a defensive midfielder, and we don't get these players year in, year out. It's negligence. I've got a suspicion that they're still working on this net spend policy, and that although they might have spent more than they've brought in this year, they want to keep that figure down as low as possible, and they're never going to spend the kind of money that people expect them to spend. And this belief now that all we're aiming for is 3rd and 4th place that's outrageous. Well, I mean, as fans, we want it's dangerous as well, because if you start aiming for 3rd and 4th place, one day you're going to fuck up and end up 5th and 6th. So I don't know.
The thing is, we did a lot of business early. We brought them 3 players in very, very early. If we would have been in the same position as we was this time last year, with regard to we hadn't brought anybody in, and we brought Ozil in on the last day. If we was in the same position going into this week, and we brought these guys, Debussy, Chambers, Alexis, and Welbeck, in this last week, I think 90% of us would think, well, you know what, we ain't done too bad there. But it's where we've had that good start. I think we feel a little bit underwhelmed.
Cheated.
No, I'm just underwhelmed that we haven't really gone out for that striker who might or might not be there, and we haven't really got that centre midfield player that we crave. It's all right you saying you buy a centre back, Gav. That's all well and good, but again, we talk about it again. If you're going to buy a top class centre back, right? You can't play 3 of them.
No, of course. What like I say, the fella looked. I can't remember his name at the moment. I'm sure somebody here remember his name.
Where's he playing?
The big fella at Palace, who they signed him from wherever they signed him, right? Whatever his name is, right? Anyway, there's a journeyman centre back, aged 28 to 32, who comes to us, we double his wages, he gets his games here and there. That's what we should have done. Do you know what I mean? That's how you sort of build a squad and build a squad around it. It's just ridiculous that we couldn't find a journeyman centre back to double his wages. You know, like someone said that Williams fella from Swansea, he's probably only earning 30 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? We could have doubled his wages.
Gav, Ashley Williams is captain in Wales, okay? Why is he going to sit on the bench anywhere? Ron Vlaar's just played in the World Cup semi-final. He's not going to come to sit on the bench.
Well, why is Podolski sat on the bench all of last year and stayed?
Money talks.
Why
Because he's under contract, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Sign them and put them under contract. This idea that they won't come, it's ridiculous. Look who's just signed for Manchester United. Why is Danny Welbeck signed? How's he going to play when Giroud is fit again?
Well, Tim, where are they then, Tim? Where are they? Because I haven't seen Ashley Williams. And I know, bear with me a second, Tim. I know people down the Swans. Ashley Williams will only come to play first-team football.
Well, then you go and find someone else. You go for Ron Vlaar, or you go for a Reed, or you just need anyone is better. A professional footballer with a decent level of ability is better than what we've got at the moment, which is no one. You get
are they really better than what we got?
And you've got no one there. The idea
they're better than no one.
Arsenal, the idea that a club like Arsenal, with our stature and our resources, can't entice a half-decent footballer to come and join with a bit of a pay increase and the chance of playing for Arsenal sometime is just ludicrous. Listen to yourselves. You've become brainwashed with this idea that we can't...
Oh, come on, Tim. I'm sorry.
No, he's right there, mate. Tim's bang on, Jay. Sorry, mate.
I'm sorry, boys, okay, but I've never run a football club, okay? But I'll tell you one thing. You boys talk of it as if it's FIFA. It's not. No. It's real life. I agree this window's been an absolute disaster. I'm furious about it. But we just pull names out of the air as if they're going to rock up here tomorrow.
Well, why are you furious if it's not if it's difficult?
Do you not think the manager has got something to say about this with regards to, he's always said in the past about killing players, about players that he's got coming through the ranks. Arsene Wenger has always said time and time again that he will only sign a player of, quote, top ability, somebody that can improve the squad. Do you not think that he maybe sits there and goes, you know what, if I bring in a Ron Vlaar, he's going to give me 2 seasons. If I bring in an Ashley Williams, maybe he isn't the best judge to back up talent. Maybe he's not. Well, he's not very good at that.
Kris. I mean, he's been there. I mean, the amount of time Wenger's been at our place, right? He hasn't bought through any home. I mean, the amount of players that he's bought through that are homegrown is absolutely fuck all. I mean, he once said that he weren't going to buy a player because it might kill off fucking Danielson, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Right? I mean, what's he going to do? He's not going to buy a fucking centre back because it might kill Hayden off.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But that goes right across the board, though, Gav. It goes for all the clubs that are in the Premier League. All the clubs. None of them are brought through. And do you know what? There's a lot more Arsenal players playing professional football, right, than there is most other clubs. Don't worry about that.
They're not playing for the Arsenal, though, are they?
No, they're not, because they're not good enough. Because they're not good enough.
Well, like I could talk for hours on how shit you've set up.
What Geoff said is kind of my point. Is does the manager look at someone like? I mean, I just put in the Skype chat about centre backs available. Winston Reid is one that jumps to mind. You know, does Arsene Wenger look at it and go, well, you know what? I've got a Spanish international. Okay, left back. I'm not disputing that, but I've got a Spanish international in Nacho Monreal, and I think he's a better player than Winston Reid. So rather than spend money on a player who's gonna, if he's going to sign for the Arsenal, he's going to say, right, okay, I'll quite happily come to your club, but I want at least to treble my wages from West Ham. So we go, okay, maybe he's sitting there and looking at it and going, I'm not going to spend money on a player that essentially is not going to play because I believe in the players that I've already got here. I'm not saying that's right.
He'd rather play a left back who's not even a particularly fucking classy left back, let's be fair, at centre back. Because he won't spend out the money.
I totally agree.
It's round hole and square pegs again, mate.
I totally agree. I'm with you.
When it comes to centre back, he's probably one of the. Centre back and keeper are 2 of the most specialist positions on the whole of the pitch.
Why is Toby?
You've got to buy specialist players for that. Do you know what I mean? You can't fucking think. I know what we won't bother getting another goalkeeper. If it comes to it, fucking we'll give Podolski a pair of gloves. He likes fucking jumping about.
Why is a player?
Sorry, boys. I've heard a lot of people moan over the years about us paying Bentner X amount of money, Park X amount of money, and not playing them. Are we going to pay a load more players to sit on the bench and do nothing as well?
Yeah, a backup specialist centre back is better than Park and Bentner, who are completely shit.
But 1 minute, Gav,
comment. I
listen,
can't
listen,
argue
Gav.
that.
Gav, you're talking about centre halves. You're talking about centre halves, right?
Yeah, we've got two.
Yeah, but you got no. Hold on a minute. But you got a French international right back who can definitely play centre back. You've got
Is
a lad.
he a specialist?
When's he ever played centre back?
No, he can play centre back. I'll tell you now. I've played enough football to tell you he can play centre back.
Giroud can play centre back, mate, but I wouldn't like to see it.
No, it's different. He's a defender, Debussy, right? But you're forgetting. You just had a kid that's just been called up for the England squad, right?
Chambers
playing as a centre back.
He should not play centre back this year against any meaningful team. Any meaningful striker will hand him his fucking arse this team.
No, you don't know that.
He made three big mistakes yesterday, which could have fucking resulted in a goal.
If he's good enough, he's old enough, Gav. It's as simple as that.
He's neither at the moment, mate.
Listen, I kind of, for the first time ever, disagree with Gav there a little bit. I think he'll be a star, Chambers, and I think Geoff's right there. He'll do well as centre back. But the argument still is that we've only got 6 players to cover 4 positions, and I've just worked out we've got at least 50 games booked in this year, and more if we go through in the competitions further. There's not enough players, and so the argument that we shouldn't have a journeyman centre back because we sat on the bench all season is wrong, because he'll probably get his fair share of games, surely.
To be honest with you, boys, we're only going through to January as well.
Well,
we don't buy in January though, Jason.
We may well find out very soon, because let's remember that we go to Dortmund very, very soon without a right back, because I assume he's suspended, or does it not carry forward?
Don't think it carries forward.
No, I think it does.
Someone check. Does it?
I'm not sure. I could be corrected. I don't know. But let's just carry on. You carry on, Tim. Carry on.
Well, my point was going to be, so we're going to go into a cauldron like Dortmund, a huge game, and we're going to throw in Bellerin at right back because we've got such an inexperienced defence.
No, you put Chambers there. He's played right back for Southampton last season.
Koscielny's okay then, aren't you? Comes through the international games okay. If Koscielny and Pear's not playing the international, so if Koscielny doesn't come through the international games okay, then what do you do?
Didn't he pull out because of his head injury?
If my aunt had a pair of balls, she'd be my uncle, Tim. Let's see what we worry about at the time.
I'm not taking you beyond the rounds of very reasonable questions there, am I? Come on, it's ridiculously thin, Jeff. It's ridiculously thin.
It's all hypothetical, Tim.
And we're hypothetical. We're so unbalanced. We've got Podolski will never play. Campbell will never play. But we are so out of kilter in how we've set up this team. And I'm just shocked that he went through today and didn't put more defensive cover in.
Fair enough.
Can I just make a point? So going back on what Raj said, I've got no doubts in my mind that Chambers at one stage in the next 2 or 3 years will be a very, very good player for us. I just don't think at the moment that for the top games, he's going to be good enough at the moment. Do you know what I mean? For when we're playing, the bottom teams in the league and the FA Cup and the Carling Cup, he'll do a blinding job. But I just really, really fear for him once he comes up against somebody really good. That was the only point I was making. But like I say, I do think that he's going to come good. Definitely, you can tell. But like I say, I just don't think he's good enough to be the first choice replacement for centre back at the moment.
I'll try to be honest with you. I'd rather have a punt with him than buy someone like Ron Vlaar. I don't fancy Ron Vlaar, and I'm not even a massive lover of the lad Williams. They might be marginally better because they're internationals and they've got plenty of experience, right? But we bought a lad there. He's got plenty of enthusiasm. He's a young kid. He's just got in the England squad. You never know. He might be able to play every single game. You don't know. It's all hypothetical, I know. But you're only as good as your last game, and he hasn't been too bad.
No, I'm not. Like I say, I'm not saying he's had stinkers, but he's a kid that age in that specialist position. He's going to make mistakes, and then hopefully he's intelligent enough to learn by the mistakes he makes. But
you know what? To be honest with you, I'm a little bit more concerned about Purr this year and his pace.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because I think although everyone can see it, somehow in the World Cup it got shown up, didn't it? And although we all knew that, I think teams will go on that a lot more this year than they did last year, just because they all sat and watched the World Cup and went, bloody hell, you can turn him easily.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, of course, depends on his teammates around him, because I think Sadia particularly and also Koscielny were excellent at covering that and working it together, and we've yet to really see how that settles in. But Debussy is a good defender with pace, so that will help. But yeah, I'm with you, Geoff. I think that we're gonna wince a few more times at pair this year.
Geoff, Twitter's exploding at the moment about Falcao failing his medical.
Really?
Massive rumours. If
I
that
would
happens,
fucking love that, mate. I'd laugh my head
no,
off.
but listen. If that happens, Man United will pull out of the Welbeck deal because I think they haven't signed off on Welbeck until they know that they got Falcao definitely in. Now, this is all hypothetical. We don't know if it's sure or not, but Smudger just tweeted it as well. So somehow he knows, and but we don't know what the truth is. But if Welbeck is transfers cancelled, then my suggestion, which I know you and Jace didn't like earlier on about this being a negligent transfer window, kind of comes to fruition, doesn't it? Because we left it too late.
Yeah, maybe. You could be right there, right?
I mean, that's a disaster, isn't it, Geoff? I mean, Geoff, look, me and you, we break bread. I've got no problems with you, mate, at all. You know that. But you must have, and I know you're a massive supporter of Arsene Wenger, and I'm probably not as much.
I'm more of a supporter of Arsenal.
I know you are, mate. Honestly, I know you are. But you must have a few doubts about what's been going on this summer. There must have been a few doubts going through. Going, actually, hold on, we're not doing this right.
I've already voiced my opinions on it. I'm disappointed. I said I was disappointed, and Welbeck, if we sign him, has given me a little bit more hope. But we don't know the circumstances. But one thing we do know: Arsene Wenger is all Arsenal, right? He does want us to win trophies.
Yeah, but
He's not in the job to piss ball about. He wants us to win things, right? And there must be circumstances why he hasn't signed these players. It's not that he doesn't want to spend a £50 million. Maybe they're not available. Maybe he doesn't really. Maybe he didn't fancy Falcao because he didn't fancy. He was strong enough to get through a Premier League season.
Or Geoff, that he thinks the money is his own. He treats it like his own, and he doesn't want to spend it.
No,
that's the other argument.
No, I don't believe that.
Because in the end, you got to look back at the whole summer and say we've had opportunities. And I mean, you've seen the text messages just now. Someone's just printed out a whole load of attackers that we could have bought, which we haven't. They've gone to different clubs and some have stayed. But there's just I can't.
If you read that list, though, Raj, right?
Read it out, mate.
We'll read it out, and we'll go through them one by one. There's very few of them that are the strikers that we really, really would punt for. People like Mandzukic and all that. I don't, he's not. People like that are not for me. I think we've got to go one better than that.
Cavani.
People have been quoting me all week about this Costa thing that I said back in January. I said, that I didn't think Giroud was £15 million less a striker than Costa. I might be wrong. I don't know. The way he's playing at the moment, Costa, he looks a bit of an item. But let's see at the end of the season how we go. Cavani, is he for sale?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying to you.
No, he's not.
Falcao, there's a reason. He's 28 years old. So they say. I reckon he's maybe 42 or something like that, the way he's shaping up, right? 28, 29 years old. Do we really want to spend £30 million or something like that, what it's going to cost maybe on a striker at 29? Just for the sake of doing it, just because I'm not sure. I think maybe it is the right choice. It's a bit harsh and we might have to wait. But we're not that club that can go and spend £40 million and send them out on loan, or buy the £50 million Torres, and we're stuck with him.
But Geoff, on Falcao, would you not say that if he comes in for a season, scores 30 goals and fires us to a league title, he's paid for himself? Would you not say if we win a trophy, he paid for himself?
It's a ridiculous question, Kim. You know that. You know what I'm going to answer that. Of course, it would be fantastic. Mate, if you sign for Arsenal and won us a league title, I think you was the best thing since sliced bread. But it's all hypothetical. You don't know. You don't know how these players. United. Listen. Don't worry about that. The jury's out with me with this Falcao, right? He's been a fantastic goal scorer, very strong and everything else, right? But this is the Premier League. It's a different league. When you have got people like Ron Vlaar kicking you up from arsehole to breakfast time and Nat Williams kicking you up from arsehole to breakfast time, it is a totally different ballgame than playing out in Spain and wherever he's played before, in France, right? It's totally different. He's going to get a totally different game than he got in France last year.
I think
you never know how they're going to play.
I think as well, guys. I mean, you look at it. I agree with you, Raj. It has been a negligent transfer window, But at the moment, we're talking hypotheticals. What would Falcao have done here? What would they have done there? The big issue is, why didn't we get the players in that we actually needed? There must have been a DM somewhere. There must have been, surely.
Jeff,
Why didn't we take the gamble on a player that could have actually done something for us? Chambers is a gamble, granted, at centre-back, but it's not like spending 30 million on a striker, him coming good. That's a good gamble.
I got a question for Jeff, or well, actually for Jeff, Raj, Tim, anyone that knows a little bit about the insides of the club. I can't stand Chelsea like anyone, obviously, but the links about the Remy deal were put in place, well, whatever, I don't know, 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago. Within 24 hours, that deal was done. Chelsea also went after a certain chap who used to play for us, who will probably go unmentioned for safety's sake. I don't want FK to have a breakdown. And another player, even Costa, they seem to identify targets. They seem to go, right, that's the one, and they pay the money and it's done. Okay, granted, they pay over the odds and they've got...
They haven't. They've done stunning business this summer to get Costa and Cesc combined for less than 60 million. Stunning business.
I remain unconvinced. I remain unconvinced by Costa. That's just from personal experience. I'm not sure that in the long run that 32. I mean, jury's out. But all I will say is that they've identified these targets. They've gone out and got them. What is it that stops? Is it purely because the manager thinks twice and second guesses himself, or is it just because we look for that bargain? This is why we leave these transfers so late. We bucked the trend this year. We went out and we got players early. But as Jason said, we only really went out and got the players that we needed to replace the players that we knew damn well were leaving, i.e. Fabianski, Sanya. They were replaced with players that we needed. And really, we only really replaced Vermaelen with Chambers. So is there a reason why we just don't go out and say, okay, Carvalho is a prime example. This has been going on for 3 months? And we've left it until the very last minute to bid under the value that we knew Sporting Lisbon asked us for 8 weeks ago. We've refused to pay apparently an extra 4 million. We've tried desperately to get Joel Campbell into the deal to seal it last minute. And now we're sat with egg on our face without the player that we needed, when really we could have gone and got it done 6 weeks ago. Is there a reason why we don't do that business quickly?
Well, we don't know. Sorry, Raj, go on, carry on.
No.
I was just. Can I supplement
Tom?
Question? Can I supplement that question quick?
Yeah.
While we're comparing I'm curious about this as well, because while we're comparing the way we do transfers with the way other people do, because it sounds an awful lot like from when Jose Mourinho gave his post-match conferences, he essentially hands a list and says, these are the players I want. And then that's the last he hears about it. It's someone else's job to go out and get them. And as I understand it, at Arsenal, that is not the case. Do you think that is a major difference in how the two clubs do business? Because there's no question whether we hate Chelsea or not, and I hate them more than any other club in existence. They're extremely good at getting their transfers done. They don't fuck about. They get in there, they get it done, and they get it signed. So I guess I just wanted to supplement that. But
I mean, that's how we used to do things. I mean, that's how things was done when David Dean was there. David Dean would go out and get the players. Sometimes you get the players that I mean, it's very, very well documented. Look, it's David Dean that got Bergkamp and not Bruce Rioch. Do you know what I mean? And that's when it worked well. Do you know what I mean? Wenger would say, and they'd have a chat about what player we liked and now, what player this, what player that, and David Dean would go out and get them. When you leave it to Wenger and who else we've got at the moment that are actually negotiating the deals, they just can't pull it off.
And the problem is that they negotiate the deals, but I mean, who was the player last year? Wenger vetoed the price at the last second. So he shouldn't have the power of veto. He should just literally give a list of players and get someone to go and get them.
Xabi Alonso, we refused to pay, what was it, 2 million? I mean, he's just signed for one of the biggest teams in the world, and he's gone straight into their starting lineup for Bayern Munich this weekend, and we refused to pay, an extra 2 million to get him out of Liverpool. Mark Schwartz is another one.
Several years ago when we could have got several years out of him.
Is it just value? Is it just that, I say I'm not saying that Wenger's wrong. I'm just wondering, is that Wenger's decision? Is that?
I mean, he should decide who we buy, because at the end of the day, he's the manager, and it's down to him to pick the players, train the players, and motivate the players. If there's a player that he can't feel we can motivate, then of course he should veto. But he shouldn't really be vetoing players over how much money they cost. That shouldn't really be, in a modern footballing role, that shouldn't be the manager's job anymore. But
that was basically my question. Because
Yeah,
we debated that back and forth earlier. I just wanted to know if you guys had any more insight into kind of what was going on. Because I'm in the same boat. I think he shouldn't. I mean, you should say these are the players I want, and then he shouldn't be involved in the finances. I mean, when it's done, even Gazidis should come to him and say, "Hey, remember how you wanted William Carvalho? Yeah, we got him.
Fuck me, I
Well,
wouldn't
how
leave
much did he
anything to
cost?
him.
Don't fucking worry about it. He'll be in training on Monday."
Going back to Chris's question, I mean, you've got to factor in that the teams that you're talking about, like Chelsea, City, and Man United, they have got the spending power. They've got more money to spend than we have. It's as simple as that. It's a simple fact. We cannot go and spend on 6 players 35, 40, 50, 60 million pound like United have done.
Well, I guess what I was getting at is, when was the last time you heard about Chelsea having a 2-month-long transfer saga over a player?
No, I know
because
that,
we've just had one all summer with several different players, and none of which we ended up getting. So I guess that to me is the big difference. And I'm wondering if there's a reason that we get involved in those things other than just obviously money. They can offer them an arm and a leg to come play. I mean, I think we can compete on individual players, but and you look at William Carvalho, that was a target we were rumored to be looking at in January's transfer window, and then really apparently stepped it up in the summer, and then didn't end up with him. So I just, I'm not criticizing or anything like that. I'm just wondering what's so different in the way we do our business and the way they do their business that when they went for Fabregas, it was done and dusted in a week.
But then saying that Chelsea, the other thing that you've got to factor into this is social media. In the days like Raj was referring to, back in the old days, we had a David Dean. The best you'd get off social media was CFAX. 303. I still remember the page. That was the only way you got your transfer speculation or the back pages of a newspaper. Nowadays, I can sit there, or let's just, for example, say Jeff. Not that you'd ever do this, Jeff, but the amount of followers you got, you can sit on Twitter and go, "I fancy Cavani," and within 30 seconds, everyone in the UK says, "Jeff says we're going after Cavani." And when you put a name out there, there's no concrete there's no concrete statements from Arsenal saying, yes, we were after X, Y, or Z. And the same with Remy with Chelsea. Remy was not even mentioned to the link with Chelsea at all until it was done, which suggests to me that they went out and decided, okay, we are going to go and get Remy and let's go for it. But nobody rumoured that transfer because nobody talked about it. So I think you've got to be careful what's rumours and what's actual fact.
I'll tell you what I think.
That's exactly what I mean, though. How's that different from what we are? We're competing in the exact same world. Like, how is that different? We were rumored to be in for Remy for most of the summer. So was Remy just do we go about it differently? Do we not actually make an offer? Do we put him in our back pocket and just say, well, if it gets to deadline day and we don't have a striker, we'll go for it?
We've got fans that talk so much bollocks, and unfortunately, we've probably Arsenal have got one of the biggest online bloody followings as well. So
yeah, that is true.
And our Arsenal media page, what a pile of fucking wank that is. As soon as they fucking stop that cunting, shitting thing, the better, right? But the problem is it sells fucking newspapers. I mean, I write a blog and I go on newsnow.co.uk and go into all the Arsenal. And you go to the top 20 stories now, Arsenal signing world record breaking German super fucking kid. And the top 20 stories are all just complete speculative bollocks about us signing players. And it's not just in the transfer window, it's throughout the whole of the season, which really is doing all Arsenal blogs a major disservice, because people are just writing shit because it gets a few hits and they get a few pennies from fucking advertising.
But how does that correlate back to our transfers?
Because it's all complete bollocks. I mean, I get told bits and pieces every now and then, and I get told bits and pieces by people, and the situation that I've got with them is, don't you dare put that online, otherwise, I could get in trouble over this. Yeah? So I don't. And the only people that really, really know what's going on and really know the players that are going for it are people very, very close to the club. All these people that claim to be in the know on Twitter and Facebook and blah, blah, blah. 95% of them are talking out their arse. The other 5% are putting up things that really are going to get people in trouble.
And I get that, but I just don't understand why. I mean, every club has their in the know fans and stuff like that, but why? I just don't understand why that results in such a huge inefficiency in the way we do transfers.
I don't think it is. I just think that we've got too many people guessing about this transfer and that transfer, and the minute one or two journalists type the same thing, then everybody's all over it and wondering why it takes so long. And
why it
generally it's not. Generally,
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I was
Arsenal
just curious.
Arsenal were generally very, very quiet and very, very gentlemanly about how they do their transfer business, which is sometimes the wrong way to go. They should perhaps tap up players a bit more. But it's, it really, really is the fact that, they don't want to sort of tell the world who they're going for. And it's just people guessing and speculating.
Why Chelsea and Man City and Manchester United, who have had loads of players refuse them this year, by the way, Man United, but why Chelsea and City can tie up a lot easier than other clubs is because they pay more money. It's as simple as that. When you've got a club that offers you 60 grand a week and for someone like Newcastle, right? Which no doubt Newcastle did because they had Remy. Was it last year? Yeah, they did, didn't they? Right. And then you've got Chelsea coming for you, who's going to offer you £80,000 or £100,000. It's a no-brainer for these boys. They can tie it up quickly because there's no one else that's going to compete against you. They can pay the money that can put other clubs out of action. And I think that's, it comes to a point with the Remy situation, Arsenal was never really interested in. We could have had Remy 4 years ago.
No, but Jeff, I think there's, as in all things, it's somewhere in the middle. Haggling over £1 million and hoping to leave Mark Schwarzer until the final day of the deadline window, it's just folly. And we do divot and we do try and be too tight, but then we have to watch the money a bit more than the others. So I think it's somewhere in between. We also have a manager who, as you know the setup well, people there. He does change his mind a lot. He does reflect a lot on whether or not to sign a player. And you could say it's more thoughtful, or you could call it less decisive. It's probably both. But Chelsea are a good example, I think, of knowing exactly what they want. Torres out, Remy lined up to come in. Bang, one in, one out. That's what I'd like to have seen with Vermaelen. Whereas I felt that with Vermaelen, what you had was a manager who, I gave my promise to the player. He could go. He was very good last year when he didn't play much and didn't really think enough about Arsenal's situation and should have said, yes, I let you go, but now I'm going to work really hard to scout football and find the player that's going to come in, to cover for you and replace you. And so probably in between what you're saying there, I think, we have to be a bit more careful with money. We have a manager who's got a natural disposition to be a bit more hesitant, a bit more cautious on it. And this is why we see scenarios like we have in the last few years.
Yeah,
Gav,
fair enough.
Gav, what you said about the sort of the manager being, or us being sort of an old-fashioned club and we don't like to let our targets slip and we keep our business close to our chest. Do you think that on that point of view, obviously Arsenal came out a couple of years back as it is now and said, in a couple of years, financial fair play will come in and we'll be in a better position. Do you get the impression that we're almost like that nice guy that's out on the pool that just sort of tries to get the bird by being really nice and polite when ultimately the guy with the chat up lines and the slick moves sweeps in and takes, because we seem to sort of sit back and go, well, we'll do it the nice way. We'll be gentlemen and we'll do things correctly. But the truth is, FFP has affected fuck all, really. I mean, all the teams are doing is finding a way around it while we're sat in the background going, yes, but we're the Arsenal. We're doing things the right way. And that's admirable. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather we be like we are than Chelsea or City. But we're being left behind year on year because these clubs are going, well, FFP, that's fucked us in the arse. But I'll tell you what, we'll find a way around it. We'll send, Chelsea got 26 players out on loan. We'll stockpile players, we'll shift them out, and if we need a player, Radamel Falcao on loan, are you having a laugh?
Sorry, can I come in on that? Can I come in on that? I don't see the issue with that, to be honest. We've built a very decent squad. We only need 3 players. We've got the actual money to do it. We're just not spending the money.
We haven't done it.
That's the problem, Jason. If you scroll back to the podcast that I think I was possibly on this time last year, we probably said exactly the same thing. Yeah. We're missing 2 or 3 players.
We did.
We do that every summer. We say we're missing 2 or 3 players. But I mean, to go back to Jason's point, there's ways and means. I mean, I was told that we was tapping up Alexis since about March. That's when we started having chats with him and blah blah blah, and obviously, we was tipped off the fact that he was on his way out from where he was. But like I say, we're not that good and nice and blah 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 when it comes down to it. I don't think. And obviously, we've got Wenger, who still is, he still is a big draw for players. Do you know what I mean? Players, I still think, see Arsene Wenger and they still see the Arsenal and see the stadium, and we should be a big draw. But
hold on. Can someone call me a fucking ambulance, please? Did you just credit Wenger with something there?
yeah, no. I mean, he should be. Do you know what I mean? It's not like some of these fucking. I mean, if you was a player and you fucking Tottenham are interested and the manager's talking you up, over the past 10 years, you must be sitting there thinking, all right, well, this manager likes me, but he'll probably be gone in 6 months. Do you know what I mean? So he's still got to be somewhere in there. He's got to be a draw. He's got to be a draw, like the ground is, like where we're located is. I mean, we're the biggest club in the biggest city in Europe. We should be fucking drawing a better quality of players, and we should be paying the players.
Comes down to a player as well, I think, I've done it. I mean, if they are, it's a short career, and if they're purely motivated by money, which let's not kid ourselves, there's a lot of footballers out there that are purely motivated by money.
Most are.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if what Geoff has said, or what I think what Jay said as well, if you've got, for example, using Remy as an example again, if Chelsea basically go to Queen's Park Rangers and say, you know what, we've heard other clubs are involved, whatever Arsenal offer, give us a fax, let us know, we'll double it, then there is no possible way of getting that player. So
I mean, this like I say, we're talking about Remy, who's going to be second or third choice at Chelsea and will possibly be first or second choice at ours. We really should have been aiming over the last 5 or 6 transfer windows a lot fucking higher than that. Do you know what I mean? I don't even understand why we didn't break the bank and try and hijack any deal that Everton and Chelsea had with Lukaku. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Surely, do you know what I mean? I mean, he would have made a massive improvement on what we've got.
Actually, look at Everton's strike force, boys. Lukaku and Eto'o, as opposed to Sanogo. Come on, do me a favour.
Yeah, but Lukaku, you know my thoughts on Lukaku. 28 million, come on, boys.
Your thoughts on Lukaku?
It's a lot of money,
goals.
But that's going rate. It's going rate.
Going rate. Whatever we think of Mourinho, and well, we all know what we think of Mourinho. There's a reason he let that guy go. Come on,
Kris. You said this before, but the bottom line is Lukaku scored goals in the Premiership. Okay, Sanogo hasn't.
No, I don't disagree with you.
Whatever you say, okay, sometimes it does not work out for a player at a certain club.
Right? I agree with you.
You can't just say Mourinho knows a player. Mourinho's a cunt.
Yeah, of course he is. I agree with you, but all I'm saying is 28 million. Whatever any of us think, Arsene Wenger rates Olivier Giroud, and I will stick by Geoff on this one. When I still maintain, even now, we've not seen the best of Olivier Giroud. And whatever anyone thinks of that, whether it's fact or fiction, that's my opinion. I don't think we've seen the best of him. And
He's
I think
got a lot of improving to do. He'd be better.
There's 2 reasons we ain't seen the best of him. One is because we don't always play to his strengths because of the way that we play around him. We don't actually necessarily play to the strengths every time. And the other reason is essentially we're trying to sort of bed in the players that are feeding him. We're changing these positions. We still haven't seen the best of Mesut Ozil. When all of those things click, and if we play a formation that suits a big lumping centre forward like Olivier Giroud, there is absolutely no point in going out and buying a Lukaku who doesn't perform the same role. Okay, he's a big lad, but he runs in behind, he makes different runs, and he suits a club like Everton. His work rate is nowhere near what Olivier Giroud's work rate is. And I know he falls around, I know he pats the floor.
Isn't it?
Oh, no, it's not debatable. It's not debatable. Look at his assists. Look at how many assists Olivier Giroud provides for other players.
You've
taken 35...
Lukaku scored goals in worse teams than Arsenal.
He scored goals.
For your ass.
Yeah,
He scored for West Bromwich Albion.
He scored goals.
Everton.
Yeah, he scored goals.
Champions League team.
He
should be knocking them in.
He scored goals. He bloody should score goals at West Brom because he was our only striker that season.
Do you know the point? Let me get a bit of calm into this here before we start slinging punches at each other. But you know
this
the
is
point.
normal.
You made a good point there, though, Kris and Jason, right? But you said 27 or 28 million pound for Lukaku. But you know what? We might have just got a Danny Welbeck who might be as good as Lukaku, right? For
That's what I was just going to ask.
16 or 17 million pound, and that is the difference.
I was just going to ask though, if you do you think who do you think by the end of the season is going to offer more value for money, assuming the Welbeck thing comes off? Because there's rumors Falcao failed his medical, but assuming it comes off, who do you think is going to be better value for money? Danny Welbeck for 16 million pounds, Balotelli for 16 million pounds, or Lukaku for 28? Genuinely, I actually want answers to that question because I'm genuinely curious what people think.
I think I think Everton have pulled off a massive, massive bit of business with Lukaku. And like I
Same
say,
here.
I mean, he fucking terrorised us. He suits they're set up as a counter-attacking team. He's ideal for that sort of role. I think he's going to be superb for them over the next 2-3 years.
I'm not saying
I'm looking up some statistics here, so I'll come back to this question in just a
not-
second. But I'm going to look up some of their stats and how they compare, and we'll kind of collectively decide.
I'm not saying, Jason. You know I love you, mate. It's all debate. I'm not saying
Kill him,
Lukaku,
Jace. Kill him, Jace.
I'm not
He's
saying
having it.
I'm not saying Lukaku shit. He's clearly not.
His baseball bat's out, Chris. Be careful.
He's with the studs in it. He's a Premier League footballer. I'm not for a minute saying he's shit. He's clearly a good striker. But the two things I would ask you is, one, he signed for Everton. With all due respect, he signed for Everton. All right,
They nearly finished fourth.
Okay, yeah, they nearly finished
bear
fourth.
with me a second.
But why?
The manager who signed him there is Martinez, who's being touted as a replacement for Arsene Wenger.
Well, we'll
So,
believe
you know.
that's all speculation. We'll believe that when it happens. But the other thing is the other sort of point is, okay, 28 million. And whilst, don't get me wrong, I'm not blown away by Danny Welbeck. I've hardly got my pants around my ankles about it. But at the end of the day, how much money do people look at? Andy Carroll, an England international, 35 million quid. What Jeff is what I know it is funny. What Jeff is saying, he's absolutely right. We could, subject to things going through, we could get ourselves, rightly or wrongly, an England international for 16 million quid, a striker. I mean, that's good value.
He counts as a homegrown player, which will be nice.
Yeah, well, it's good value if it wasn't Welbeck.
Well, I mean, that remains to be.
Here you go.
That
Here you go.
remains to be
Okay.
seen, but if he does what Daniel Sturridge has done at Liverpool, then none of us are going to turn around and go, "Well, he's shit." Oh, we're all going to be sat there.
Tom? What's the stats?
So I looked up some stats using Squawka's comparison matrix for all three players, Welbeck, Lukaku, and Balotelli in their respective leagues last year. Their goal scoring record per 90 minutes is exactly the same, 0.55.
There you go.
For all three, which is crazy.
But Welbeck played 3 games and scored 1 goal.
No, Welbeck played 25 games in 1,400 minutes. To put that in comparison, Lukaku only played 5 more games than Welbeck did.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the other stats that stand out real quick. So their goal scoring is the exact same. So let's take that out of it. We're looking at what else they contribute to the team. Welbeck's assist rate is fucking terrible, 0.06. But Lukaku and Balotelli aren't really a thing to brag about either. They're 0.22 and 0.24, which isn't terrible, but it isn't great. They create about the same chances created. Welbeck's a little less than the other two, but then pass completion, Welbeck's way up at 87. The other two guys are in the high 60s, low 70s. Shot accuracy, Lukaku wins, Welbeck second, Balotelli third. But the ones that also stand out too is Balotelli and Welbeck have a 50% dual success rate, which is basically like headers. When you like take players on one-on-one, things like that, how often you come away with that winning, and they're both around 50%. Lukaku's way down at 40. So, for me, what this says is all players are pretty close to value. So Welbeck and Balotelli should have pretty interesting seasons. But Lukaku, I'm not sure there's any way he's worth that 20. Just based solely on stats, I don't think there's any way he's worth 12 million pounds, almost double the other two.
And can I ask you one question, Thomas? Can you have the value of the squads that those boys are playing in? Because
Exactly. That's the other question,
Everton's
too.
team is going to be so much lower. So,
Well, and the other thing to think about too is Welbeck. If we play him through the middle, he's going to get more goals.
Yeah.
The only worrying thing in all of Welbeck's statistics, because they're all very, very good, everything from aerial duels and everything like that. The only thing that worries me about his statistics is his .06 assists, and they played him on the wing, with guys like Van Persie and Rooney on the receiving end. So that's the one worrying thing is in his statistics. But the reason I was pro Balotelli earlier is evident in the stats. It's just, when you talk about value for money, I think Welbeck or Balotelli will be, in that price bracket, will be one of the, has all the potential to be one of the best, striker signings of the season.
The 3 positives that you've got with Welbeck, okay, is he's quick, right? He's got a great engine. He can get about the pitch, right? And he's got a good technique. He can when he's in the box, he's got a trick in him. Right, and he'll take
He's
a shot
hungry
on
as
goal.
well.
He's
I'm
hungry.
I'm hoping he'll be kind of a Sturridge and say, well, Man United kept playing me on the wing. They'd never play me through the middle. You guys are giving me a chance to play through the middle. You're a major club. I'm happy to be here, and this is what I can do. Is what I really hope happens.
Very good point. Very good point.
And
Wenger, it's a very fair point as well. I mean, we've got to hope that he's coming to us with that kind of attitude.
If he
I mean,
puts us,
Yeah,
it's got to be.
what I hope is he wants to come to Arsenal more than he wants to get out of United. And if
Exactly.
that's
Well-
the case, I think he could be a phenomenally successful player with how we play.
anyone in
Because
that
now we
Arsenal
have that
shirt,
striker that has the physicality but also the pace to get through. He's creative. He has great technique. You
And
put
it's
Sanchez on one side of him, Ozil behind him, and fuck, who cares? Santi on the left of him, and he's going to score you some goals.
It's better than signing Park on deadline day. Let's look at it that
so
way.
he's not ideal, but in terms of panic buys from the making a trolley dash on the 11th hour,
Yeah.
we could have done a lot worse.
And if he sticks an Arsenal shirt in at the end of the day, we support him. Go on, Dom.
I just want to weigh in just for a second, just with all the striker talk. I don't think that's the issue. And we've got Joel Campbell that's basically the same physicality type of player. He just hasn't had a shot. And you can say what you like about the fact that he hasn't played any Premier League football, but just go back to the defence for a minute and think, we were after a midfielder. We were actively in the market for a midfielder for a long time. We were actively in the market for a replacement for Thomas Vermaelen. Callum Chambers came in as a backup right back because Carl Jenkinson went out on loan. Arsene Wenger said that himself.
Yep.
So we are a defensive midfielder and a centre-back short of what we set out to do at the start of the transfer window. We ended up with a striker. We could debate that all day to see whether that's going to come out to be a good deal or not. Who knows? We're not short of players across the front three. Even with Giroud out, we're not short of players. Who is going to play at centre-back when we have an injury to Koscielny or Mertesacker? A 19-year-old kid that was brought in as a right-back. Yes, he's going to be a great player, but even Arsene Wenger didn't realise that he was a good centre-back until pre-season when he had no choice but to play him there. So
that is fucking terrifying, by the way.
Why has it taken all summer to get to a point where we've signed no one in those two positions?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. We've got a defensive midfield that's got Arteta, Flamini and Diaby. Arteta's just as injury-prone as Diaby is, and Flamini's not at the right quality. And Arteta's 33 years old and isn't athletic enough to play that position.
Well, and even if Diaby can play,
defensive.
Diaby's not a holding midfielder. Yeah,
But, I mean,
Diaby
regardless,
can play
he's
in the
supposed
base
to-
of defense, but he's
So,
no more of a holding
that's
midfielder
just
than
my
Wilshere
point,
Ramsey
though.
are.
He's
And
not
all
even a
three of those
midfielder. He's
players-
not even a player.
All three of those players are in the last year of their contract. Why not bring in someone now to bed in? And we were this is the thing, is we were actively after these players in the market for the last 2 or 3 months. And
That's kind of what I was
get it
alluding
done.
to earlier when I was
we
saying,
just could
why
not,
does it take us months to
pull the
pull these
trigger
off?
and get it done? And Carvalho is a good example with a third party. And I know that Geoff will say that it was a difficult situation. We don't know this. We don't know the ins and outs of the deal. But if we were after him for that long, surely we would have known whether it was a possibility or not pretty early on. And if it takes you an extra £8 to £10 million and you have to pay over the odds, you get it done. You don't wait till the last minute and try to call their bluff and end up with no one. What would be better for the squad and for the benefit of Arsenal is to go into the season with nobody in that position, because it is nobody, or pay an extra £10 million. Because we've got it.
Toby
There's £60 million.
Alderweireld that we were
£60
linked.
million in the bank isn't going to cover your defensive midfield and centre back position, which he would have covered both.
Yeah.
And what Kris was
Alderweireld's
just
gone
about to say too. Yeah, this is nuts.
Toby Alderweireld, we were in for him when we bought Thomas Vermaelen. So we bought Thomas Vermaelen in 2009 was it, from memory? So we were linked with Toby Alderweireld, who's in my opinion, he's technically better and he's a better defender than Vermaelen is at the same age, or was, and he's got more potential.
It's not difficult.
Well, no, I'll give you that. And we decided not to sign him. It was the same. It was all three as him, Vermaelen, and there's also Jan Vertonghen. Okay, so all three of those, Wenger admitted that he liked all three. Atletico Madrid signed Alderweireld. He didn't really get in the side last year because they had two better centre backs. He's now joined Southampton on loan to the end of the season. On loan, he's not gone on a permanent deal. Now, why could we not have said, you know what, we don't want to take a chance on a permanent signing because we're not sure, whether you'll get enough games, whether you'll suit our style, all these things, we're not sure. So tell you what we'll do, we'll sign you on loan. So you'll get more football here than you will at Atletico Madrid because we've got a kid, who we're looking to blood at right back, whatever. Bring in Alderweireld and say, right, we'll have you on loan. Why are we passing on a deal for a guy who's going to make Southampton a lot better?
Well, we might not fancy him though, Kris.
Especially since his agent tried to flog him to top teams after Atletico did as well as he did last year, which means all of us had to pass.
I agree with Geoff here for a second. We might not have rated him. We might have thought he was terrible. However, we've had 3 months to find someone that is suitable, and that's the problem.
Wenger did rate him because he said it.
Regardless of names, right? I'll just finish up my little rant here. Regardless of names, you don't call yourself a top club and a title contender going into the season with 2 recognised centre backs. What other top teams in the leagues are going into this season and only able to manage two first choice centre backs because they couldn't find anybody else that was happy to sit on the bench that was good enough? No one.
No, I agree.
There are every other side, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, they've all got 3-4 centre backs that they can play. Why is it that we couldn't find 3 or 4 centre backs to play? Why is it that we couldn't find a defensive midfielder out there in the market? Why is it only us that seem to have an issue with, he's just not good enough for us, he's not good enough for us? Well, someone's better than nobody.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And
There has to be somebody out there that can fill a spot that there is nobody at third choice centre back for us. Callum Chambers was bought as a backup right back.
Yeah.
There is a spot there missing. There is a nobody there. Wouldn't it have been better to buy somebody?
Yeah, why have we sold Mikel today? Why have we sold Mikel when we've got 3? I mean, I know Mikel he's not Arsenal quality. I'd say that outright. But he's a body. He is a body who can play centre back. Why have we not said to Norwich, okay, fine, you can have him, but we need to get our guy in first? And we've not done that, and we've let another centre back go today probably because, and fair play to Arsene Wenger, he hates killing careers. He's obviously said to the lad, look, you want to play, I'll let you go. Fair play to the guy, he's a gent. But that doesn't help us at Christmas when we've got 1 centre back fit, does it?
No, but it's all hypothetical again. It's all hypothetical again. You're doing the same thing over and over again.
Real hypothetical.
But you say that, Geoff. But good teams that are serious about competing go into the season and they don't get reactive. They're proactive. You plan for these things because it happens. It happens every year to us. So why would you not go into the season as a serious club and go, let's be proactive. Let's go out there and make sure that we have backup plans and contingency plans in place for when things evidently go wrong. We had a season 2 years ago where we had no fullbacks. None.
And even if you think of it as, even if you think of Arsenal as a business, that point still rings true. The fact that we've gone into another, you can call it a fiscal year if you like, we've gone into another year of business without a contingency plan, if our plan A of business doesn't work, is just irresponsible. It's that simple.
You've got to plan for things fucking up, mate. If you don't plan for things fucking up,
sorry guys, do you mind if I just interrupt one thing? At the end of the January transfer window, Arsene Wenger said, "If only I had more time," and he's had all summer.
Wasn't the most sensible quote, was it?
Being
honest, looking back,
it's not defendable anymore. At the end of the day, like you have to be proactive, not reactive, and that's for any business. That's for any career. That's for anything. You don't wait for something to go wrong before you go, "Oh, whoops." You make sure that you have things in plan.
I mean, like I say, to carry on with that, Dom, I mean, I don't even think that if it wasn't for the injury for Giroud, I don't even think we possibly would have been in for Welbeck.
We wouldn't have been. I don't think.
I don't mind that though, but the defensive side of things, how the hell we can go into the season with the defensive options that we have when we were in the market looking for them, that baffles me.
I'll tell you now, Arsene Wenger will come out, and this is not a dig at you, Geoff. I agree with what you're saying, but Arsene Wenger will come out tomorrow. And when everyone says you didn't sign the fabled DM, do you know what he'll say? He'll say, I've got Coquelin. Guarantee you. He will say, I've got Coquelin who I believe in. Because he will not say that any of his players on our, I hate the word roster, but that's the only word I can think of. He won't say that any of our players are not good enough to be at the club. But the facts are, they aren't good enough, because why have we not moved Coquelin on in this transfer window? This is a guy that couldn't get into Freiburg's side, and we couldn't sell him. We couldn't sell Rio Miyachi. But they're on our books. We couldn't get rid of Danielson for how many years? We couldn't get rid of Bentner. We couldn't get rid of Park. All these players. We spent 3 years. Well,
those are gone now. Those days are gone.
They have been shipped out. But at the same time, they're still on our books. We've still got the Rios. We've still got Gnabry should have gone on loan. Okay, the lads may not be fit, but surely he could have agreed a loan deal. Yet we have farmed out Carl Jenkinson, which, as Dom said, clearly Callum Chambers was the replacement, but before you let a player of Jenkinson's quality or not quality, whatever you think of him, it's another body. Why are you letting that guy go before you've done your dealings? Why not just say, look, we want Chambers, but he really is our long-term solution to centre-back. We also need a cheap sort of replacement guy who can play, and Jenkinson could play centre-back if we were desperate.
Well, it's true, because look at the way United is doing business right now. The only reason we still haven't confirmed Welbeck is because Man United are not going to let him go if they don't get Falcao.
We're at the mercy of another team.
But the way we do business is, oh no, you go. We'll figure out how to replace you later. Fuck that.
Didn't we do that
If
with
we want to be a big club, it's time to start acting like it.
Didn't we do that with Van Persie? Didn't we? They essentially wanted him, and we kind of just bent to their needs because we.
Well, we did it with
replace
Nasri. We did it with Fabregas. We just now got Ozil. How long ago did we have Fabregas? How long ago did we sell Fabregas and never replace him?
Yeah, I'm not knocking the manager. I'm just saying that it just doesn't seem.
No, I'm not
to
either.
Make sense
I'm very frustrated. I'm
manager...
usually a massive apologist. I'm usually 100% with Geoff, but I can't. I just can't today. Like Dom was saying, at this point, it's just indefensible. What is he going to stand up and say tomorrow that's going to hold any water when when someone goes, hi, we have 6, a reporter goes up and asks him, we have 6 senior defenders to cover 4 positions. How do you excuse that with 60 to 80 million still sitting in the bank?
Yeah, but you see, we've got to wait a minute. We don't see these boys in training, right? And he's assembled a squad, okay, and he's seen these boys, and he's seen the defence that we've got, and he's seen the Hector Bellerin and the other lads that he's got in the sidelines. And he's said to himself, he's obviously sat down and thought, well, hold on a minute. We don't really need that centre-half because of X, Y, and Z. We don't, because we've got, he feels that he has got the cover as a centre-half in Chambers or a Debussy. So
I've got a question on that,
we don't know, do we? We don't know what he's thinking. And at the end of the day, he's the manager, right? And you've got to give him respect, mate. He's been in the game for a long while. We can't keep
Too
on
long.
just... Well,
he's got all my respect.
I've got one question for Geoff on this point. I completely understand and agree what you're saying. He sees all these players in training. He knows better than what we do. We need to just calm down a little bit. However, why was he out trying to sign a centre-back and defensive midfielder this window then? If he has such faith.
He did that. He bought Chambers.
But he wasn't bought as a centre-back. You know that. He was bought as a right-back. He said that himself. And it wasn't until that he was played as a centre-back that he went, oh, actually, he can play centre-back too. That's handy.
He was quoted.
We've been in the market for the last couple of days after a central midfielder and a centre-back. So if he had all of this faith in these players that he had, why were we trying to buy anybody?
When Vermaelen left.
No, well, when Vermaelen left, he might have sat down and thought, we don't need a centre-back now. Or, maybe. Well,
Didn't he say after Vermaelen left that he didn't? It wasn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't got the quotes in front of me. But I can vaguely recall the press conference or when Vermaelen was going that Wenger did actively say that we are looking for a centre back. Or I think the exact quote was, "If Vermaelen goes, we will bring in a centre back." I'm pretty sure that was roughly the quote.
I think you're right.
If he hasn't, I mean, I'm not disputing for 1 second that he hasn't looked, because clearly he has, and like Geoff has said, the guy knows a lot more than any of us will ever know about football. But
use past tense.
But if he's gone out and said that, those quotes are on record as far as I know, and he has said, if I let Vermaelen go, I will bring in a centre back, and the fact is he hasn't. So he has to be accountable for that.
At the end of the day, go on, carry on.
Sorry, can I just read out something that I have to deal with? Somebody who's put a comment on my blog this evening. Don't worry, Flamini can play centre back. He covered for Koscielny Wales receiving treatment on Sunday.
Oh God!
Come on, right back. Come on, don't tell me we have a world class one in Bellerin. We're okay. Let's get ready for another invincible year. That's what I get on a daily basis.
No, what I mean? That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
You want to see what I get, mate? That's nothing.
Oh, don't.
I don't think any of us dispute will probably be okay, and we'll probably finish top 4, and we'll probably have a decent Champions League run. We might even compete for a cup. But the point I've been the biggest apologist forever too, for the exact same reasons. I drank all the Kool-Aid with the financial stuff and everything like that. But this year was supposed to be different, and it looked from early business like we were going to make it different. We went out, got a bunch of stuff done ahead of time. We needed like two or three more players. Harson assured us they'd come at the end of the window. And then nothing happened. And ultimately what it's done, and I think the reason all of us or some of us are feeling so aggrieved, is because it's essentially waving goodbye to any chance of the title we thought we had. Because ultimately, unless this team really, really gels about 2 times better than I think they will, and I think many of us think they will, we aren't in with a shot for the title anymore. We might compete for a while, maybe till February, but ultimately, I don't think we have enough to get it over the line. We just have too few positions at the back where it really starts to matter. So unless all of the millions of strikers and stuff we have now can pull a Liverpool and score a zillion goals like Liverpool did last year, we're pretty fucked.
Well, we have, like I say, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, really. I mean, I don't even think at the moment that Wenger knows what our best attacking lineup is. And he's only going to get more and more confused now because he's got another player to go in the mix. I mean, the way we've been playing this season has been fucking woeful. It's been clueless. It really has. I mean, playing fucking Ozil on the left and fucking Sanchez on the left and then on the right and then through the middle. Sanchez probably doesn't know where the fuck he's supposed to be playing. Do you know what I mean? He don't play the same position 2 games fucking running. But that, unfortunately, is Jeff's mate, Mr. One Arson Wonga.
Still unbeaten.
Well, I do think Arsenal get the balance of this team right. I do think that now that the window's closed, we'll get a system and everything like that set up. But what I'm saying is it better work pretty fucking well, or it's going to be a pretty long year, because there's no question in my mind that although this team is good and arguably even improved on last year's team in some areas, as long as the first team is fully fit and healthy, the fact of the matter is we're going to ship quite a few goals with this defense, whether we like to admit it or not. I would be very, very surprised if we don't get turned over pretty hard again, at least once this year.
Yeah, no, I do. I think Gimli's got something to say.
Yes.
I was about to say the same thing.
I've been told to wrap this up. Before I go, I will do a quick poll with all of you guys. This transfer window, rated on a scale of 1 to 10 quickly. I don't want explanations, just 1 to 10. 10 being brilliant, 1 being utter crap. Raj?
6.
Jeff?
7.
Kris?
7.
Danny?
5.
Dom?
5.
Jace?
4.
GC?
4.
Yeah, you're a special.
I expected it. And finally, Thomas.
6.5.
Gimli?
Yes.
6.
10. 6. That's an average of not fucking enough.
Yes. So I'd like to thank everyone that's joined us today.
Yes.
I'm not
What a
gonna
good
reel
chat
out
that
names
was.
because I haven't got a list of them. Just know that everybody has been fantastic. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for everyone that has listened, downloaded, and clicked. As always, it's been a pleasure to entertain you, or we hope we entertained you today. So that has been a Bergkamp Wonderland Deadline Day podcast special part 5. Thank you very much for listening, and keep it Arsenal.
We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league. And they're gonna believe us. They're gonna believe us.
Oh, Welbeck gets his 30th of the season.
We're gonna win the league.
Up the Arsenal.
Gav, I've missed you, mate. You've got.
I've missed Gav as well.
Oh, I'm moist. We love Gav.